After 7 years, you ask if I have regrets? At the airport, he left the girl he once chased without a second glance. His real mission was miles away. In a cramped apartment, he found it, a bottle of pesticide, the final, desperate plan of Lily's mother. He slammed down a bank card. 100,000. For the surgery. This is why I built my company. His gaze was ice. But she can never know. Her spirit is already broken. You think I'm just paying for a surgery? I'm rebuilding her world. From a lovesick fool to a silent king, he would forge an empire. All for the shy, wounded girl who had no idea she was its sole heir. Chloe Chen was stunned for a moment, then quickly ran over and hugged Leo's arm. Brother. Although Leo had always been gentle with her growing up, she was still terrified of his retaliation. After all, an open attack is easy to dodge, but a hidden arrow is hard to guard against, and Leo was the type who only used hidden arrows. At least 60% of her own sneaky tricks were just Leo's leftovers. Seeing that Leo was ignoring her, her mind raced, and she threw herself into Lily's arms. Sister-in-law? At these words, both Leo and Lily froze. Chloe seized the opportunity and continued to act cute, her voice full of grievance. Sister-in-law, my brother told me to eat the computer. Don't say that. Lily was shocked, nervous, and a little happy all at once. She quickly tried to stop this socially awkward behavior. Can't you do something about him? Chloe sniffled, looking up, a tear glistening in the corner of her eye. Sister-in-law, if you don't help me, no one will. My parents just gave me a huge lecture this afternoon. If my brother gets a hold of me now, how am I supposed to live? Her voice was choked with sobs, which genuinely scared Lily. Leo was speechless. Anyone who didn't know the situation would think this little sister of his had suffered some great injustice. Lily was at a complete loss and could only say to Leo in a mock-serious tone, "Don't bully Chloe." Hearing this, Leo sighed helplessly and pointed at Chloe. For your sister-in-law's sake, we'll let this slide. If there's a next time, you'll see how I deal with you. He was no longer angry, just felt a sense of satisfaction. This sister was great. She really knew how to play the game. How could she be a freeloader? It was all a misunderstanding. You're the best, brother. Chloe casually wiped away a tear and instantly became her usual self. The siblings' conflict was resolved in an instant, leaving only Lily confused. A few seconds later, she finally realized what Leo had said, and a blush slowly crept up from her neck to her face. She looked at Leo shyly. You're talking nonsense too. What is wrong with these two siblings? Sister-in-law, don't you want to marry my brother? Chloe asked, tilting her head, her expression an exaggerated, are you just playing around? This question stumped Lily. It took a great deal of effort, her mouth opening and closing for a long time, before she finally squeezed out a single word. Yes. Chloe glanced at her brother, whose smile was about to reach the heavens, and shrugged, suppressing a laugh. Well, there you go. You two are getting married sooner or later anyway. What's the difference if I start calling you that now? Just think of it as getting used to it in advance. Getting used to it in advance? Lily was now completely certain that these two were blood siblings. They were both masters of twisting logic and changing the subject. Seeing Lily's nervous expression, Chloe couldn't help but laugh. She hugged her and nuzzled her cheek against hers. Sister-in-law, why are you so cute and so beautiful? My brother is so lucky. Even if she searched her entire school, she wouldn't find anyone as beautiful as Lily. With that, she sighed, straightened her t-shirt, and walked slowly to her bedroom. I'm going to my room. I won't be a third wheel. But you two better not do anything bad. Although my house has good soundproofing, so I wouldn't hear anything anyway. Leo couldn't be bothered with her and asked curiously, where are Mom and Dad? Mom has a meeting, Dad want to pick her up. Don't worry, they definitely won't be back for at least half an hour. Pervert. With a slam of the bedroom door, the living room fell silent. Ever since hearing Lily say yes, the smile on Leo's face hadn't left. What do you want to eat tonight? Lily couldn't stand the quiet, somewhat ambiguous atmosphere and had to ask in a small voice. Leo looked up at the time and continued to lounge on the sofa. It's still early. I'll go with you to buy groceries later. Just as Lily nodded, she saw Leo suddenly lean in. Want to hang out in my room for a bit? No way. The girl quickly refused. Going to his room in this situation was no different from a sheep walking into a tiger's den. I'm not going to eat you, Leo said helplessly. He had only suggested it because he thought she looked too stiff sitting in the living room and was afraid she would get tired. Am I not a gentleman? Is there something wrong with my image in this naive girl's eyes? There must be some misunderstanding. How could I possibly take advantage of her? He thought to himself, while subconsciously taking the girl's hand. Leo's entryway was directly opposite the living room sofa, so he didn't dare to push his luck and could only hold her hand. After sitting quietly for a while, the two of them went downstairs to buy groceries. Just as they reached the entrance of the residential complex, they saw two old men playing chess. The gentle evening breeze rustled the treetops as the two men sat in the shade, sipping tea. I knew you'd be here playing chess at this time, Grandpa Zhao. Leo greeted him naturally. The old man with reading glasses looked up and saw him, a happy smile spreading across his face. He quickly waved his hand. Leo, come here and help me with this game. I need a break. The other old man was not happy. No outside help allowed. And you need a break? You just realized you're losing. Grandpa Zhao pretended not to hear and looked at the girl whose hand was intertwined with Leo's, his expression one of shock. Leo has a girlfriend now. As he spoke, he didn't forget to secretly mess up the chess pieces. Sure enough, the other old man's attention was also drawn to Lily, and he didn't notice his little trick. Lily was very embarrassed and stood beside Leo with her head down, greeting the old man. This girl is so well-behaved and so pretty, Grandpa Zhao said, then smiled and shook his head, sighing. I'm getting old. He gestured with his hand. In my memory, you were only this tall, and in the blink of an eye, you even have a girlfriend. Time passes so quickly. Leo smiled in agreement and held the girl's hand a little tighter. For some reason, he also felt a little dazed. When an old person who has truly watched you grow up laments how quickly time passes, you might really have grown up. After all, the favorite pastime of old people is reminiscing about the past. After chatting for a few minutes, the two of them continued towards the nearby market. Are you very close? Lily asked curiously. Leo nodded slightly. Yeah, my family moved here not long after I met you. He watched me grow up. His wife passed away a few years ago, and since then, he's been fishing and playing chess every day. But he's really bad at it. My dad sometimes gets called over to play a few games with him. The girl hummed softly and said no more. She had always found this about Leo very impressive. Except for the people he didn't want to talk to, he could talk to anyone. I'm definitely going to live a little longer than you. Just a little is enough? Leo suddenly muttered to himself after a while. Lily found it strange and turned her head to look at his serious expression. I thought you would say you wanted to die before me, so you wouldn't have to be sad or something. Thanks to a best friend who loved to watch romance dramas, she was somewhat familiar with this kind of line. Leo shook his head, denying the girl's guess, and said in a low voice, I don't trust you to be okay. Lily blinked, slowly wrapped her arm around Leo's, and pressed a little closer. Those 4 simple words seemed to contain 1,000 unspoken ones. Soon, Lily regretted going out to buy groceries with Leo. Along the way, she had lost count of how many times Leo had proudly introduced her. This wasn't grocery shopping. This was a family reunion tour. After buying groceries, the couple returned home and started preparing dinner. Leo found it quite novel. The last time they had gone grocery shopping together, he was still just fantasizing. Now he could actually hold this naive girl's hand while they shopped. It was nice. He called to check on his parents' whereabouts, and after confirming that it would be a while, he ran into the kitchen to help Lily. Chloe, hearing a strange noise, excitedly pressed her ear to her door to listen, then poked her head out with a curious expression. What are you guys doing? Cooking, Leo said, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Are you cooking? Chloe ran out excitedly. She loved it when Leo cooked. Usually, he would only cook for her after she had begged him for a long time. Your sister-in-law is. I'm telling you, her cooking is amazing. Lily had clearly given up resisting. Hearing Leo say this, she just continued with what she was doing. Chloe's expression became even more excited, but she didn't say anything. Instead, she pointed to the rice Leo had washed, and then to the rice cooker. Leo smiled at her. Get lost. How did our well-mannered family produce a bandit like you? Her suggestion mercilessly rejected. Chloe could only dejectedly run to the sofa, cross her legs, and scroll through videos. Leo gave Chloe the middle finger and returned to the kitchen. At this moment, Lily had once again tied her hair up in a practical ponytail, and Leo couldn't resist giving it a gentle squeeze. Just make a little. We can't eat that much, Leo said as he washed the vegetables. This naive girl was sometimes like a little calf. She didn't know when to stop once she started working. Okay. From beginning to end, Lily felt very relaxed because Leo never gave her a chance to do too much work. He took care of everything he could. Don't tease me. I'm busy, Lily said after a while, gently pushing away Leo's hand, which was playing with her hair, and chiding him softly. This person is so strange, he can even play with hair, and have so much fun doing it. You won't let me hold your hand, so I can only play with your hair. Lily pursed her lips and asked softly, Can you play with it later? Leo had been planning to stop, but hearing the girl's gentle words, he wanted to tease her even more. He slowly walked up behind her and blew on the back of her ear. Lily felt a jolt of electricity run through her, her whole body tingling, and her legs felt a little weak. You just love to bully me. She turned to look at Leo, pouting slightly to express her dissatisfaction. Leo took the opportunity to pinch her cheek. You're so cute. Who else would I bully? Then you can only bully me, the girl said timidly. Other girls might not cook as well as I do. It took Leo a moment to understand. This naive girl had said something similar before, something like, other girls might not be as easy to bully as I am. She seemed very insecure. Don't worry, Leo said, taking the girl's hands and smiling at her. I only like you. My girlfriend is so amazing, I wouldn't even look at other girls. Lily didn't seem to expect Leo to be so direct. She was so nervous she didn't know what to do and unconsciously leaned back. Then she shyly nodded, her heart filled with an irrepressible joy. Your boyfriend is so amazing. Shouldn't you give him a little reward? Leo asked shamelessly. Lily turned the heat up a little. What? What kind of reward do you want? That's up to you. The girl took a deep breath. Then close your eyes. Close my eyes again. Leo was not satisfied. It makes me feel very insecure to have my eyes closed, you know? Although it was a little exciting. If you don't close your eyes, there won't be a reward, Lily said, fidgeting with her fingers. No way. Making her do it with Leo's eyes open was worse than killing her. All right. Something is better than nothing. Leo wasn't picky. He closed his eyes obediently and even tilted his neck up expectantly. After who knows how long, a pair of soft lips pressed against his cheek, giving him a light, wet peck. When he opened his eyes, the girl was already stir-frying vegetables, as if nothing had just happened. Lily, Leo called her softly. What? Lily was like a flower thief who had just been caught. She trembled all over and didn't dare to turn around, afraid that Leo, in a fit of anger, would retaliate by holding her down and kissing her wildly. Leo recalled the feeling just now and joked, "You're a freeloader." His words made Lily feel a little guilty. "No, I'm not." "Then let me kiss you back." "No. Come on. I already kissed you," Lily bargained, begging for mercy. "That's right. I can also kiss you." The two of them were playing around in the kitchen until the sound of the front door opening came. Leo cleared his throat and walked out. Lily quickly tidied the slightly messy hair by her cheeks, her entire face flushed. It seemed that Leo had still gotten his way and had given her a light peck on the cheek. She took a deep breath and was surprisingly happy to find that she wasn't as scared anymore. Did I actually kiss her or not? Leo muttered to himself as he walked, a confused look on his face. Sophie looked at him curiously. "What did you say?" Nothing. Leo quickly changed the subject. "I brought your daughter-in-law back for you." Sophie was both surprised and delighted. She didn't even change her shoes and walked to the living room. "Where?" "In the kitchen, cooking for you," Leo said proudly. Before he could say anything else, Sophie ran to the kitchen, shouting, Let me. Leo looked at his mother's back and sighed helplessly. Then he heard his father sigh at the same time. "What are you sighing for?" Marcus sat down on the sofa, looking exhausted. "Your mother had originally found a very expensive restaurant. I had to use all my strength to convince her not to go." He then looked at Leo, as if afraid his son would misunderstand. "You understand, right?" Leo nodded, then complained, "You've spoiled your wife rotten." Marcus held his chin up. "I love my wife, and I'm happy to do it. You might not even be as good as me in the future. Just you watch," Leo said, unconvinced. "You two are too much. You both said I was the little princess of the family," Chloe shouted. Not long after, Lily was let out by Sophie and sat timidly on the sofa. She sat there, straight as a board, her hands clasped tightly together. Well, just when she had finally gotten less nervous, now she was here in a different capacity, and she was even more nervous than before. Before, if her aunt and uncle weren't satisfied with me, at most I wouldn't be a tutor. Now, if they're not satisfied with me, I won't be their daughter-in-law. "You child, I invited you over for dinner. How could I let you cook?" Sophie said, holding Lily's hand, her heart aching. If there was a moment when Sophie had completely fallen for Lily, it was when Sophie discovered the calluses on Lily's hands. Combined with Lily's words and actions, Sophie could already guess what kind of girl Lily was. Lily didn't know what to say for a moment. After thinking for a long time, Lily could only say honestly, "I want you and Uncle to like me." Sophie and Marcus were clearly not expecting Lily to say this. They were stunned for a moment, but from Sophie's expression, it was clear Sophie was very happy. "This girl is so honest, it's adorable." "It's enough that you have this thought," Sophie said, smiling as Sophie stroked Lily's head, liking Lily more and more. Leo couldn't help but laugh at Lily's naive answer. Leo couldn't resist turning Leo's head to look at Chloe beside Leo. This freeloader sister of Leo's wasn't sour at all, just stood there in shock. "Sincerity is always the ultimate weapon, kid," Leo whispered in Chloe's ear. Sophie ignored the muttering siblings and continued to look at Lily. "Don't be nervous. I just missed you, that's all. And I heard from Leo that you two are dating, so I thought I'd ask Leo to bring you over for a meal." Lily nodded forcefully, feeling a little happy. From the looks of it, Lily's aunt and uncle should be quite satisfied with Lily. Lily guessed, Lily's heart full of uncertainty. "You're not against it?" Lily asked timidly. Although Lily's voice was very, very small, it had taken all Lily's strength. But as soon as the words were out, Lily regretted them. At this moment, Lily wished with all Lily's might that they were chatting online, so Lily could retract them. But this was not the case, and there was no medicine for regret. Lily could only face reality. So Lily mustered Lily's courage and looked up at Sophie, who was sitting beside Lily. Sophie was also staring at Lily blankly. After a while, Sophie finally came to Sophie's senses and asked with a smile, "Why would I be against it?" Sophie thought to herself, this little girl's thoughts are really strange, but this is also one of the things that makes Lily so cute. Lily didn't know what to say again. Lily didn't have Leo's ability to talk Lily's way out of things, so Lily could only continue to say what was on Lily's mind. "Because I'm actually very useless." Lily really thought so in Lily's heart, so Lily just said it, then continued in a small voice. and my family's financial situation is not good. Lily said whatever came to Lily's mind, as if Lily were being interrogated, naively telling them everything about Lily's family. Every last detail. Even at a time like this, Lily was still so honest, and willing to be so. No one interrupted Lily in the middle, just listened quietly. Before, Marcus and Sophie had only heard a rough summary from Leo. Now that they knew the details, they couldn't help but feel a little sad. And Chloe, who had been kept in the dark, was completely listening to a story, a sad one at that. After Lily finished, Sophie sniffled and said seriously, "First of all, you've been supporting your family since you were so young. I've never seen a more capable girl." In Sophie's eyes, this was the first thing that needed to be refuted. Secondly, I already like you. And material conditions can be changed through the efforts of you two. It's really not that important. It's the hardest thing to keep a relationship from changing. As long as you and Leo like each other, I won't be against it. I like him very much, Lily said immediately, and only then did Lily realize that the other person's words just now didn't seem to be asking for Lily's opinion. Lily quickly lowered Lily's head deeply. Sophie didn't say anything, just smiled at Lily. So embarrassing, so embarrassing. Lily, you're such an idiot. Lily was so nervous Lily really didn't want to be on Earth anymore. Perhaps out of an instinct of reliance, Lily turned Lily's gaze to Leo, and saw Leo make a silly face at Lily. But it was strange. Lily had been so nervous just now, but now Lily was much more relaxed. Under Leo's gaze, Lily mustered Lily's courage again, looked up, and said softly, "Annie, I want to finish cooking." Lily could see that Leo's gaze just now was telling Lily, "I'm here." As long as Leo was by Lily's side, Lily was not afraid of anything. Leo took up the conversation. "Your future daughter-in-law's cooking is amazing." Sophie couldn't bear to refuse Lily's good intentions, and had to agree. "I'll help you." Just as Sophie was about to stand up, Sophie was gently pressed back onto the sofa by Lily. "I can do it myself," Lily said, then walked slowly to the kitchen. Watching Lily's back, Sophie's feelings became more and more complicated. Sophie just felt sorry for Lily. Sophie had only for a moment imagined what Sophie would think if Chloe had had this kind of experience, and tears almost couldn't be held back. Sophie really didn't even dare to think about it. Sophie's heart was like being cut by a knife, cold and trembling. Leo, hearing his mother's order, quickly brought Leo's gaze back from the kitchen and looked at Leo's mother curiously. "Go pick up Lily's mother and have a meal together." "I've already asked. Auntie Xiao won't come," Leo said helplessly. Lily's occasional stubbornness was definitely inherited from Lily's mother. Most of the time, Lily was very easy to talk to, but when Lily was stubborn, Lily was very determined. "You're quite sensible." Sophie could only give up after hearing this. As a mother herself, Sophie understood Sarah's feelings all too well. Sophie must have cried countless times in secret because of the pain of Lily and Sophie's strong sense of powerlessness. For a mother, this was truly a fate worse than death. Sophie couldn't even be free, because Sophie was Lily's only support. Marcus, on the other hand, was quiet the whole time. In the middle, Marcus had only thought of asking Leo if Leo was serious in the end, but after seeing Leo's gaze constantly on the kitchen, Marcus felt that Marcus's question was really unnecessary. In Marcus's eyes, the rest was no longer something Marcus needed to consider. After all, as a father, Marcus had already given Leo the confidence to only have to consider whether Leo liked someone or not. Although Leo seemed to have decided to fight for it himself. That was good too. Thinking of this, Marcus lay lazily on the sofa and waited for dinner. "I'll go help." Leo naturally couldn't guess what Leo's parents were thinking. Leo proactively walked into the kitchen to be with Lily and whipped up dinner. Not long after, the two of them brought 4 dishes and a soup to the table. Lily hadn't bought fish to make Lily's signature dish because Leo didn't like fish. Lily had a feeling that boiled fish would soon no longer be Lily's signature dish. Leo's family's dining table was rectangular, and the family had never been particular about seating. Chloe had sat at the head of the table since Chloe was a child. Marcus and Sophie sat on one side, and Leo and Lily sat on the other. Except for Leo, the others were truly surprised by how delicious Lily's cooking was. They were full of praise. Especially Chloe, whose compliments were more and more exaggerated. Lily took advantage of the moment when everyone's attention was on Chloe to secretly put food in Leo's bowl. Leo was helpless. Leo remembered that when they first met, Leo was the one who kept stuffing food into this naive girl's mouth. Unconsciously, it had become this naive girl stuffing food into Leo's. As if Lily were afraid Leo wouldn't get enough to eat. "Since Sister Lily is dating my brother now, I don't have to have English tutoring anymore, right?" Chloe suddenly said happily. After all, with this kind of relationship, it would definitely be awkward to charge money. "I can tutor her for free," Lily said in a small voice, clearly having thought of this as well. "No, you can't," the two elders said almost in unison. As usual, Chloe's beautiful fantasy was completely shattered. Chloe drooped over the table like a wilted flower. This sister-in-law was great in every way, except that Lily refused to go along with Chloe. "What's the point of wasting time tutoring me when you should be all lovey-dovey with my brother in the prime of your youth?" At the dinner table, Leo deliberately guided the conversation, and Lily's nervous mood was once again eased a lot. Leo's care was always so silent and unobtrusive. After dinner, Lily had originally planned to do the dishes, but this chore was snatched away by Sophie. Marcus followed Sophie into the kitchen, and the two of them chatted about something. I want to see your photos, Lily said, sitting on the sofa, asking Leo with a little embarrassment. After all, for most people, childhood photos were close to a black history. Lily didn't have high hopes that Leo would let Lily see them. Leo, however, didn't mind. Go to my room and see. Curiosity finally triumphed over the fear of walking into the lion's den, prompting Lily to nod. The two of them then went into Leo's bedroom together. Lily sat obediently on the edge of the bed, watching Leo rummage through Leo's things. After a little while, Leo found a slightly yellowed, old-fashioned photo album. This is it. My photo album from 100 days to 12 years old. Girls seem to be interested in their boyfriend's childhood photos. In any case, Lily was very happy looking at them. Except for a little shyness when Lily saw the photo of Leo naked at 100 days old. Soon, Lily saw a photo of Leo when Leo was a little older. The boy in the photo, with a faint smile, was indeed as Lily remembered Leo. I was as tall as you back then, Lily said proudly, a faint joy unconsciously spreading across Lily's face. Actually, even if Leo wasn't that little boy, Lily would still like Leo very much. But after feeling a sense of fate, Lily had an extra sense of destined happiness. Lily was also a girl. Although Lily wouldn't deliberately pursue it, Lily still liked romantic things. A good man doesn't boast about his past glories. Why don't you talk about the present? Leo said, tidying Leo's room and teasing Lily with a smile. Lily, as if wanting to make up for what Lily hadn't witnessed in person, tirelessly looked through the photos from small to large. But as Lily flipped through, the main character of the photo album suddenly changed from Leo to Lily. This surprised and moved Lily. Leo had developed every photo Leo had taken of Lily and had even specifically marked the date. Now, seeing Lily in the drama club's costume, standing there with Lily's face turned to the side in shyness, Lily's feelings were really complicated. Lily didn't know how to smile back then. And, at that time, Lily never thought Lily would become Leo's girlfriend. It's really like a dream. At the end, Lily found a piece of A4 paper in the photo album. It was a sketch. The girl in the drawing was holding a bag, half of Lily's body drenched in rain, as if Lily were waiting for someone. Lily didn't know anything about art and couldn't tell how good the drawing was, but Lily thought it was very beautiful, and Lily could see that the girl was Lily. Lily stared at the drawing in a daze, Lily's eyes blinking. Lily felt that Leo was always like this. Their daily interactions were plain, but every now and then, Leo would give Lily a huge surprise. So romantic that Lily wanted to pack Lily up and give Lily to Leo. Leo, who had finished tidying Leo's room, now leaned over. I drew this when I couldn't sleep. Lily looked up at Leo. The day you first sent a message saying you wanted to see me. You were the one who asked. Lily mumbled in a small voice. Leo said proudly, but you said it too. Lily fell silent. Lily had wanted to dig a hole and bury Lily after Lily said it. Now that Lily knew Leo still remembered, Lily was even more embarrassed. Your face is so red, Leo said, leaning in closer with a wicked smile. My skin is thin. It gets a little red when it's hot. Really? I don't believe you. Unless. You want to kiss me, Lily said, staring at Leo warily. Yes, I do. You just want to. Lily was instantly stumped. Lily never would have thought that Leo would be so direct. Lily rolled around on the bed, ran to the other side, and buried Lily's face in the covers, leaving only a small half of Lily's face and one eye exposed, blinking at Leo. Leo smiled and stopped teasing Lily. Leo handed the sketch to Lily. It's for you. On a grander scale, this scene is the beginning of our love story. Anyway, this naive girl was all Leo's. Leo wasn't in a hurry for a day or two. I was so cringe when I was a kid, Leo said, looking at a photo of Leo as a child holding a sword, a disgusted look on Leo's face. Old man on the subway with a phone. JPG. After all, you're the flame dragon hero, Lily replied with a light laugh. Leo was so embarrassed. Can you please forget that? Lily giggled. No way. Actually, I think Xingtian is a bit cooler. Zio is also okay, Leo muttered to himself. Speaking of which, you still haven't changed your profile picture? Lily was lying on Lily's side on the bed, looking at Leo. This one is good. It's the first thing you gave me. It's very meaningful. Lily had cried for a long time when it was broken by Lily's cousin's naughty kid. Leo sat down beside Lily and pinched Lily's cheek. What else is in your head besides me? Lily squinted Lily's eyes like a cat and rubbed against Leo's hand. Also you. Leo was stunned for a moment. You silly girl. So cute. Perhaps because Lily was afraid of being misunderstood, Lily didn't stay in Leo's room for long. Mom, I'm taking her back, Leo called out. Sophie and Marcus came over upon hearing Leo's voice. Although this was a bit hasty, it's a custom in our hometown that when a son brings his girlfriend home, he has to give her a red envelope. Marcus was holding a red envelope. It was thin and exquisitely packaged. It was clearly prepared in advance. Seeing that Lily was at a loss, Marcus smiled and said, "A few hundred yuan, just a small token of our appreciation. Please accept it. This is our approval of you." "Thank you, uncle." Lily took it with both hands, Lily's eyes welling up in tears. Lily had never experienced this feeling of being accepted before, and this relationship was so important. Just as they walked out the door, Lily gently tugged on Leo's sleeve. "What's wrong?" Leo asked. "I feel a little sorry for your aunt and uncle," Lily said, fidgeting with Lily's fingers. "Huh? Why are you sorry to them? Your aunt and uncle are so good to me, and I'm fooling around with you." Lily's voice got smaller and smaller. It was unclear if Lily even knew how strange Lily's train of thought was. This naive girl was so insecure to this extent. Lily still felt that Lily was a bit of a burden to Leo. In fact, in Leo's eyes, or in any other boy's, it should be that Leo was the one who had gotten lucky. But Lily actually felt that Lily was the one who had benefited. "What's the big deal? I'll fool around with you if I want to," Leo said dismissively. "You can just give them a grandson or granddaughter in the future." Because Leo had some things to discuss with Jake, Leo returned to the university after dropping Lily off. Just as Leo reached the dormitory entrance, Leo saw Celeste waiting there. Leo sighed deeply and said slowly under the cold white light, "Don't waste your time on me. I'm with Lily. Since you didn't respond before, why torment yourself with belated feelings? Look forward. What's past is past." Leo's tone was heavy. For Leo to say this was already the limit of Leo's kindness. Celeste was in disbelief for a moment. "What did you say?" "I have a girlfriend." Leo looked at the girl's somewhat desolate expression and repeated, word for word. Celeste finally came back to her senses, her face still a mask of disbelief. At this moment, her mind was filled with the image of that shy-looking girl, happily by Leo's side. They might have already held hands, or had a passionate kiss. No matter which fantasy, it stabbed at Celeste's heart. If she had been a little more proactive, all of this could have been hers. The future of this boy in front of her seemed to have nothing to do with her anymore. Just because. I didn't know how to cherish it? Celeste stared at him blankly, speechless for a long time. 7 years was clearly so long. Why didn't I take the initiative even once? Why not even once? She couldn't understand. She couldn't understand her own complacency, her own sense of entitlement. It wasn't until another helpless sigh from Leo that her thoughts were finally pulled back. At least give me a chance to make it up to you, right?" Her red lips trembled slightly, tears welling up in her eyes, her entire being engulfed in regret. "There's no need. I've said it before. Whether it was growing up with you as a child, or the efforts of the past 7 years, I have never regretted it. So you don't need to compensate me for anything. And, if you really want what's best for me, you should keep your distance from me." Leo's expression was solemn. Whether it was a one-sided love or a missed opportunity, for him, it was all in the past. In fact, when a person has truly let go, when they think back, they will only silently say to themselves that it's all over. In the past, he had sacrificed too much for this. Now he just wanted to bury all these past experiences. These words exploded in Celeste's mind. Leo's meaning was already very clear. To him now, she was an outsider who would affect the stability of his relationship. When he was chasing her, he had also kept his distance from other girls like this. She never would have thought that now. It was her turn. A bitter smile touched Celeste's lips. "You haven't changed at all since you were a child. Still so resolute, so gentle, so rational in everything you do. Chasing me for 7 years must have been the most irrational thing you've ever done in your life, right?" After she finished, she wiped away a tear with the back of her hand. "I'm sorry. I'm the one who changed." She had finally become one of the people who used to stand by and watch her, envying Lily just as those girls had once envied her. "Go back quickly. Don't come back to feed the mosquitoes anymore," Leo said in a low voice. After he finished, he opened the dormitory door and walked slowly inside. Although his pace was slow, he walked straight ahead. A reminder was the limit of his kindness. Whether Celeste listened or not, he couldn't control it, and it had nothing to do with him. If he looked back even once, it would be irresponsible to Lily. After who knows how long, Celeste no longer bit her lip and left with heavy steps. "What did he say to you?" Chloe asked. In the chirping of insects, the two of them walked under the streetlights, their shadows stretching long. Celeste looked ahead with lifeless eyes, her entire body limp, looking very weak. He said, "He's with Lily." Chloe was stunned for a moment, then sighed deeply. I guessed it. The moment she saw Lily on the day Leo was recruiting, she had already guessed this ending. The more devoted a person is, the more thoroughly they die when their heart dies. And Leo was very loyal. In this situation, treating Celeste like this was also normal. Flowers do not bloom again. Rivers do not flow back. A missed opportunity is a missed opportunity. It's because it's wrong that it's over. Thinking of this, Chloe patted the beautiful girl beside her on the shoulder, feeling both helpless and sorry for her. At this touch, the tears that Celeste had been holding back for so long finally streamed down. After a while, "He's terrible," Celeste said, her voice trembling, choked with sobs. "The more I think about him saying he has no regrets, the more I want to cry. I came down to throw out the trash, and I didn't expect to get some gossip." Leo had only taken 2 steps down the stairs when he heard Jake's voice. He looked up and saw him leaning against the stair railing, blowing a smoke ring with a teasing look on his face. "You're so damn boring," Leo said, speechless. Chloe had asked Jake for his location, which in turn allowed Jake to be on the front lines of the gossip every time. "Where's the trash you're supposed to be throwing out?" Leo asked irritably. He was determined to pull the rug out from under this guy. The trash. Jake clearly hadn't thought of this. He fumbled around with his hands for a moment, and could only sheepishly wave the cigarette, but in his hand. "Here it is. You idiot, the trash is in your head," Leo said with a light laugh and started climbing the stairs. The sound of their footsteps echoed in the stairwell, lighting up one lamp after another. "Everything will be for the best." Jake suddenly stopped and said to Leo. Leo's lips curved into a smile. "Yeah." After that, Celeste did not come to the dormitory to look for Leo again. Time flew by, and it was the end of June. In another week, it would be summer vacation. Leo and Jake expanded the studio's staff, sorted out all the paperwork, and were just waiting for the company to be registered. That day at noon, the sun was at its highest point, and the entire city of Hangzhou was like a giant furnace. If the joke wasn't so old, Leo would have really wanted to fry an egg on the road. A group of people were tidying up the startup incubator. After a morning of hard work, this originally empty place was really starting to look like a company. "Lily, didn't I tell you to take a break?" Leo's head was about to explode. He looked at the girl who was moving things, a mix of anger and amusement on his face. "If you keep this up, I won't ask you to come anymore." As a couple who had just started dating, Leo naturally wanted to see Lily all the time, so he had asked her to come. He never would have thought that this naive girl wouldn't stop working, making Leo shout, "Go rest," countless times in the morning, his heart aching. He really regretted it. He should have known that Lily was a workhorse. "I know I was wrong." Lily was holding a stack of boxes, and her whole body swayed twice. Leo couldn't even see her face because of the boxes. He smiled helplessly and helped her put the boxes down, then took out a tissue and carefully wiped her sweat. The girl stood there obediently, closing one eye from time to time because of the tissue, looking incredibly cute. "Everyone take a break," Leo shouted. He had already given up on trying to reason with her. Maybe this naive girl would only know to rest when everyone else was resting. It was also interesting that because they saw Lily, the recognized boss's wife, hadn't taken a break, everyone in the studio had been too embarrassed to stop and rest. After putting out the awards they had won, the second round of recruitment was, as expected, much smoother than the first. Now, the studio already had more than a dozen people, with many new faces. For a new startup, this was already a very sufficient configuration. It gave people a sense of really being on the right track. Speaking of which, we still haven't decided on a name for our company and studio. "We need to decide quickly. We need it for the registration," Jake said, leaning in as Leo was wiping Lily's sweat. "Why are you making me decide? I don't care. We can make money no matter what it's called," Leo said, tossing the tissue into the trash can like a basketball. He couldn't help but smile when it actually went in. Lily blinked at him, completely surprised that her boyfriend could be so childish. Leo was very autocratic when it came to the company's operational policies and strategies. All decisions were made by him, but he couldn't be bothered with these trivial matters. I'll do it. Mia, who had been sitting on the side, raised her hand high. "How about we call it Polaris Technology? The meaning is great. Our company will never get lost." "Not bad," Leo nodded slightly, then turned to Lily. "Does the boss's wife have any objections?" Being teased like this by Leo in public made Lily even more embarrassed. She quickly turned her face away. "I don't know." "So you admit you're the boss's wife?" Leo asked with a wicked smile. The girl nervously fidgeted with the hem of her clothes. "I'm your girlfriend." Leo tucked the few strands of hair stuck to her face by sweat behind her ear and said softly, "You will be in the future. It's the same thing." Lily gave up resisting. She took a thermos from her canvas bag, unscrewed it, and held it to Leo's lips. "Watermelon juice." Then she added timidly, "It's warm." She would never say things like, "You're not allowed to drink cold things," to Leo. She would just quietly prepare warm water or soda for him. At that moment, it was as if a lemon had suddenly exploded in the minds of everyone in the studio. They were so sour. The boss of this studio wasn't crazy, the colleagues were friendly, the office was comfortable, and the salary was always paid on time. The only bad thing was that they were often force-fed public displays of affection from the boss, and at a very high frequency. "What about the studio name?" Jake asked, not wanting to watch them be lovey-dovey anymore. Leo thought for a moment. "Then let's call it All-Kate Studio, the star of the army, and also one of the 7 stars of the Big Dipper." "Okay." After this was settled, Jake quickly walked away. Leo handed the thermos back. "You drink some first. Look how dry your lips are." Lily stood up, leaned in close to his ear, and whispered, "I can't drink it." Period. The girl nodded with a little embarrassment. Leo gently poked her. "Then why did you put watermelon juice in the thermos for me instead of hot water? Aren't you a fool? You're not in pain, are you?" Leo's voice also became much quieter. This was the first time he had faced this as a boyfriend, and he found it quite novel. "It's okay, just a little weak." Just as Leo was about to say something, someone knocked on the studio door. Leo looked up and saw a middle-aged man with a balding head and glasses standing there. He recognized him as one of the school's administrators. The middle-aged man looked down at the paper in his hand and asked, "Is Leo Chen here?" "Yes." Leo stood up and walked over. "Can I help you?" The man nodded at Leo, then stepped aside. A middle-aged woman in a sharp business suit walked up to him and gave him a faint smile. For some reason, Leo's first reaction to this smile was standard. "This is Ms. Elaine Yu, the head of several investment firms in Hangzhou. She graduated from our university and is technically your senior." Only then did Leo realize that this woman had given a speech at the anniversary gala. The company under her was well known in Hangzhou. At least he had heard of it a long time ago. "Hello. Let's have a cup of tea and chat," Elaine said calmly. Leo first exchanged a look with Lily, then gestured for Jake to come over before walking out the door. The originally silent studio was suddenly filled with chatter. "Wow, who is this person? Even the dean personally brought her here. Our senior is that amazing." Lily looked at the door, tilting her head slightly in confusion, then screwed the lid back on the thermos and continued to quietly help Leo tidy up. In the administrator's office, Leo sat on the sofa, his expression calm as he waited for the other person to speak. Although he looked calm on the surface, he was actually very confused. He couldn't think of a reason why he would be sought out, especially by such a big-shot investor. At least from her position, it was absolutely impossible for her to bother with a small workshop like his. His plan was clear, his goals were lofty, but other people didn't know that. "Let's just take it one step at a time," Leo thought to himself. Elaine slowly put down her teacup, her gaze sweeping over Leo. Of course, she hadn't come today specifically for this fledgling studio. She was just passing by while visiting her daughter in the country and remembered that her alma mater had a game studio that had just won a first prize. Of course, this achievement was nothing in her eyes. But she had keenly noticed a few intriguing points. This was a studio cobbled together by a law student who had poached a few people from the computer science department. This meant that these people had not worked together before, and yet they were still able to produce a decent demo and win first prize from a group of well-coordinated teams. The leader's leadership, accuracy in identifying talent, and feel for the industry were all evident. In her conversation with the college administrator, she also learned that they had only started applying for the school's support after winning the award. These were the reasons she was willing to spend less than 10 minutes to meet Leo. It was just an occupational hazard of being an investor. If it had taken longer, or if Leo hadn't been there, she certainly wouldn't have brought it up again. "I've been following that competition you participated in recently," Elaine said. "I'm very interested in your studio." Leo smiled happily in agreement, but he certainly didn't believe it. Elaine didn't continue to talk about games. She knew that she might understand the market, but she definitely didn't understand games. What is the market? What is recognized by the majority is the market. A powerful person can predict it in advance. A smart person knows how to follow it. And some fools will try to lead it themselves. She then changed the subject. "I'm not in the industry, so I won't ask about the details of your game. I'm more curious. Have you considered the issue of future profitability? Do you have any ideas about your marketing strategy? Have you thought about what kind of results you need to maintain the company's operations? If things go smoothly in the beginning, what are your plans for the future?" She was really curious about these questions. After all, the people in this studio were just a bunch of kids in her eyes. She also had a bit of a soft spot for talent and was willing to give them some advice. Jake, who was beside him, was already having a brain meltdown. Leo's face still had a faint smile. He said softly, "Auntie, we're not playing house. We considered all these questions before we started. As for operations and marketing, that's an internal matter for our studio. It's not convenient to tell you. What if I invest 10,000 to start?" Elaine nodded. On the other side, as Lily was wiping Leo's desk, she heard another knock on the door. A delivery guy was standing there. "Is Miss Lily Liang here?" Lily walked over nervously, curious. "I didn't order anything." "This is your brown sugar ginger tea." "I didn't order it." The girl tilted her head, her voice naive and gentle. Mia walked over, exasperated, and poked her on the head. "You silly girl, it must be from your boyfriend." "But wasn't he called out? So he must have ordered it for you while he was busy." "I'm so touched." Mia now felt like a green-eyed monster. Other people's boyfriends would remember to order brown sugar ginger tea for their girlfriends even while they were on their way to discuss important matters with the school administrators. Her own boyfriend was great in every way, except that he was a fictional character. Only then did Lily finally understand. She said thank you, carefully took the drink, and gently closed the door. Then she subconsciously glanced at the receipt, pursed her lips, and seemed to feel a pang of heartache. "That's enough. You're worried about your boyfriend's money, aren't you? Just kill me with your sweetness." Mia couldn't take it anymore. She really wanted to drag these two to a pig cage and drown them. Lily was a little embarrassed by her words. She lowered her head and quietly returned to her seat, afraid of being noticed. Although everyone in the studio's gaze had already been focused on her. She sat in her chair, staring at the small bowl in front of her, speechless for a long time. It seemed that even the things she only mentioned in passing, Leo would remember. The other day, She had said in the morning that she wanted to eat ice cream. And even at lunchtime, Leo could still remember it. He had even made a special trip in the hot weather just to buy her ice cream. She hadn't thought much of it when she mentioned her period, but Leo had remembered it. And he had even been thinking of her while he was on his way to do something that seemed so important. So this is what it feels like to be cherished. Lily smiled faintly and rubbed her eyes with the back of her hand, wiping away the tiny teardrop. Invest in US. Leo was inevitably surprised. The man who had been looking so relaxed beside him was also very shocked by these words. Jake now just wanted to say, holy crap. Although his family was well off, this was not an amount of money he could just take out. He still couldn't figure out how Leo, or this studio, had managed to gain the appreciation of the woman in front of him. Although he had always thought his brother was very capable, it wasn't to the extent that someone would directly invest this level of funds, right? 10,000 to start. That sentence was really quite ambiguous. Elaine's expression was still just as calm. She was only surprised by Leo's composure. This was just a young man in his early 20s. As an investor, she had seen too many people who were just starting their own businesses or had already achieved success. This young man's style of doing things, she had only seen in a very small number of people. No matter what he was thinking in his heart, at least his reaction was already passing. Thinking of this, her investment amount for the studio increased a little more. As long as she could be the controlling shareholder in the future and insert a manager, the investment amount could be doubled or tripled on the basis of 10,000. It was completely negotiable. Finally, under her scrutinizing gaze, Leo smiled and said slowly, "Thank you for your kindness, but we don't need it for now." Elaine turned to look at him, the corners of her mouth slightly curved. "You don't need it?" Leo nodded politely and joked, "Our operating costs are very low. Our investment will be within a controllable range for a long time to come. We can't use that much money for now. But you never know, maybe someday I'll come begging you to invest." Elaine recalled the number of people she had seen in the studio just now, and the smile on her lips grew wider. She could now guess that Leo's words were a mix of truth and falsehood. The investment being within a controllable range should be true. As for the low operating costs, that was hard to say. This young man's ambition was not small. Very interesting. All right. Elaine didn't feel like she had lost face. After all, what Leo had said was already very tactful. And investing was something that required negotiation between both parties, not to mention that she had her own agenda. Some people are willing to give up a part of their autonomy for the sake of development, some are not. "It seems you have a very thorough plan," Elaine said with a sincere, soft praise. She then slowly stood up. "Then I won't say any more. I hope we have a chance to cooperate in the future." These words were just a blessing for Leo. After all, a small studio was not qualified to talk about cooperation. "I'll do my best," Leo smiled at her. He watched the woman's retreating back and unconsciously let out a sigh of relief. He felt that this person was like a snake, flicking its tongue, constantly sizing him up. "Mom, you made me wait for 10 minutes. A girl with a ponytail complained with a pout outside the door. Elaine patted her head. "I was just meeting with a student." The girl still remembered what her mother had said in her message. "Is it that Leo? I've actually heard of him." "Yes, I was originally planning to invest a little." "Do you think his studio has a future?" The girl was very curious. "A studio made up of a group of university students. To be honest, it's a 1 in a million chance that they'll make it out of the sea of corpses," Elaine said with a blank expression. "At least I haven't seen it with my own eyes yet." "Then why did you want to invest in him?" Elaine's expression became very serious. "I'm not interested in this studio. I'm interested in this person. Even if the studio is gone, this kind of person can still get back up." She flicked her daughter on the forehead. "Spend less time chasing celebrities. You still have a lot to learn." The girl rubbed her head and looked at the office curiously. "University students doing this. It's really interesting." After being held back by the school administrator for a few more pleasantries, Leo and Jake finally walked out of the office. "Wow, that's so much money. Why didn't we take it?" Jake asked, leaning in close to Leo, both curious and heartbroken. Leo sighed helplessly and slowly explained. "First of all, we have enough funds for now. It's a good thing to have ample funds when we're just starting out, but too much is not necessarily a good thing. We might not have the ability to operate on that scale. With too much money, it's easy to get carried away, and we'll fall harder. Secondly," he smiled, "this is my son's dream. The final say is always with me. When we make it big in the future, we can do what we want to do. If it's not with me, in the short term, we won't have to worry about money, but you'll never have the chance to realize your dream again." Jake froze on the spot, so stunned he forgot to walk, his nose just tingling. He suddenly felt that being forced to change his major by his father wasn't so bad after all. A few seconds later, he shouted and chased after him. "Wait for your dad." As soon as Leo returned to the studio, he saw that everyone had almost finished tidying up. Perhaps because they were surrounded by people their own age and the environment was comfortable, most of them had a strong sense of belonging and were more proactive in their work. Leo cleared his throat. "Everyone, please sit down. Let's discuss something." As he spoke, he walked over to Lily. Seeing that the girl had finished the drink he had ordered for her, the corners of his lips curled up almost imperceptibly. Let's talk about the subsequent work process, he said, looking up at the crowd, his voice loud and clear. For the foreseeable future, the art department will be led by Mia, and the programming department will be handed over to Ethan Peng. As for music, that's not something we need to consider at the moment. For now, we'll just outsource it all. What about summer vacation? Do I need to apply to stay at the university? Ethan asked, looking up. His family was from out of town, and he had even been preparing to rent a place to stay here. His ability was good, and he was also very passionate, which was the main reason Leo had decided to let him take the lead. When summer vacation comes, you can go home and work remotely. It's fine, you'll still be paid. But, Leo suddenly emphasized, the brothers and sisters who came early know, I don't really care about attendance. You can be late, leave early, or even work from your own dorms. I've never cared. But the tasks that are assigned must be completed on time. Here, his expression became serious. The programming team must have the framework built before July. The tasks will be assigned to individuals. Those who don't finish will get their last paycheck and leave. Because this game wasn't complicated to make, in Leo's plan, a playable version had to be made by the end of August at the latest. After that, the real work would begin. A series of operations would be needed to achieve profitability. If they didn't perform well this time, it would be difficult to get the school to approve the support funds. That's it for now. Our company doesn't provide meals for the time being. I'm leaving now, Leo said, his tone returning to normal. He took Lily's hand and walked out. He's usually so easy to talk to. Why is he so fierce now? A girl sitting next to Mia mumbled in a small voice. Seeing the usually gentle Leo speak like this, she was a little unaccustomed to it. You'll get used to it. It's one thing at a time, Mia said, drawing an illustration and shrugging with a smile. As long as you finish your tasks on time, you can even play games in his office right in front of him, and he won't care. The girl looked at her in disbelief. She felt that Mia was a little too confident and couldn't help but ask, Sister Mia, have you done it? Yes. In the car, Leo, as usual, proactively helped Lily buckle her seatbelt. Oh, right. Are you going home for summer vacation? Leo suddenly asked. He remembered that Lily's hometown was not in Yuhang province. If this naive girl went back to her hometown, wouldn't he be miserable for the entire summer vacation? For a couple in the honeymoon phase, being separated for 2 months was worse than death. Lily adjusted her seatbelt so it wasn't so tight, then shook her head. No, and that's not really home anymore. After her father passed away, she had been moving around with her mother. As far as she could remember, she had only lived in her hometown for a few years. What do you mean? Leo found it strange. There's no place to live. My uncle's family took the house. Lily narrated in a very calm tone, with no sadness or joy. After my father died, my grandfather and uncle said my mother was a jinx and couldn't give birth to a boy, so they wanted to kick my mother out and not let her live in the family house. They wanted to keep me. You might not think I'm very smart, but I was worth a few thousand yuan. They just wanted to marry me off later for some money. When my mother found out, she took a knife and was ready to fight them to the death. That's how she got me out of the house. Leo was quiet for a long time. He never would have thought that such a thing could happen in the 21st century. Especially when it happened to his own girlfriend, his feelings were even more complicated. He really couldn't imagine how Lily had gotten through all these years. The bubble toy you gave me was broken by my uncle's son. Lily finally became a little wronged. He said he had never seen one before and asked me to let him play with it. I didn't want to, so he just snatched it. When he gave it back to me, it was already broken. She looked up at Leo, her clear, bright eyes covered with a thin layer of mist. And then all I had left was that photo in my mother's phone. Leo stroked the girl's cheek, his heart aching. He wanted to say something, but he was suddenly at a loss for words. After a while, he said softly, I don't know why you're still so honest after going through all that. You should have become worse than them. He felt that if it had been him, he would have been chanting, it's not me who's wrong, it's this world, every day, and then wreaking havoc. The girl stared at him blankly. My mother said to be a good person. Good people will be rewarded. Leo sighed with a mix of helplessness and disdain. Good people will be rewarded is just something bad people made up to trick good people like you. Otherwise, how could you be so miserable? You should be the happiest person in the world. It's true. Good people are rewarded. Lily rarely refuted him so seriously. Under Leo's confused gaze, the corners of the girl's lips suddenly curled up, her smile sweet, making his heart feel warm and fuzzy. Otherwise, how would I have met you? Leo's lips twitched, and he smiled as he pinched the girl's cheek. All right, you're right. Can I hug you for a bit? Lily suddenly asked in a small voice. Although a long time had passed, it was still inevitable to feel a little sad when thinking about the past. Of course, Leo thought this naive girl was so cute. I suggest you don't ask next time. Just hug me. Oh, the girl replied with a little embarrassment and was about to unbuckle her seatbelt to get out of the car. What are you doing? Leo asked. Getting out to hug you, Lily said, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Leo's eyebrows knitted together. Can't you hug me in the car? Hearing this, the girl got back into the car and looked at him curiously. Then she quietly leaned over to his side, still feeling a little awkward. Just come over here, Leo said softly. After hearing this, Lily clumsily climbed over the handbrake and squeezed in next to Leo. Leo suddenly felt that something was wrong. It seemed a little too exciting, and he couldn't hold it back. Before he could take a moment, the soft girl hugged him, and it felt like there was a soft little cat between them. A few seconds later, with a soft whimper from Lily, Leo slowly buried his face in the girl's pale neck. Lily fought the instinctive urge to push Leo away. It was so difficult that she finally gritted her teeth and just hugged him tightly. Leo, inhaling the girl's unique scent, unconsciously hugged her a little tighter. The two of them held each other tightly, as if they wanted to meld into each other's bodies. Can I kiss you? This time it was Leo who asked in a small voice. The girl took a few deep breaths, then gave an almost imperceptible nod. Hold my hand, Lily said in a small voice. A few seconds later, he took the girl's wrist, lifted her left hand, and kissed her on her pale neck. Lily's skin was indeed as soft and delicate as it looked. Perhaps feeling it wasn't enough, he began to slowly peck at the girl's neck, leaving one hot, wet kiss after another. Feeling her neck being gently nibbled, Lily felt as if all the strength had been drained from her body. All she could do was lie limply against Leo. It felt as if waves of electricity were constantly spreading from her neck to her entire body, making her unable to help but let out a few soft, mosquito-like whimpers. When she felt her neck being licked, her whole body trembled. She couldn't understand why her neck could be so sensitive. Don't lick. Unfortunately, she soon found that verbal resistance was useless. She could only completely give up resisting. Her other hand, which was not being held by Leo, kept scratching at his back, her fingers trembling as she clutched his clothes. Soon, both of their minds went completely blank, completely forgetting about time. After who knows how long, Leo looked up and saw the girl with her neck tilted back, her breathing ragged, and her face flushed as she looked at him. Seeing this, especially her dazed eyes, Leo's heart skipped a beat. Lily's mouth was slightly open, her soft lips making Leo unable to help but swallow. Perhaps seeing Leo's thoughts, the girl pleaded in a low, fearful voice. "See, can we take it slow, please?" Leo smiled at her. Of course, this naive girl had already been trying so hard to go along with him. He could see that. To push his luck any further would be too inhuman. After her suggestion was accepted, the girl felt both relieved and content, and she buried her face in Leo's chest. How she wished time could stop at this moment. This is different from when I kissed you. After a while, Lily lay limply in Leo's arms, hugging him and mumbling in a small voice. Kissing Leo made her feel very happy. This also made her feel very happy, but it made her feel dazed. It was a strange feeling. Leo hugged the girl in his arms, who was like a little kitten, and said softly, "If you're like this just for me kissing your neck, I don't know what you're going to do in the future." Lily looked up at him curiously. "What do you mean?" "Nothing," Leo said, feeling a little guilty under the girl's innocent gaze. He quickly averted his gaze. Lily, seeing this, continued to press her ear to Leo's chest, listening to his thumping heartbeat. "Why are you so bad? Always listening to my heartbeat." Leo couldn't help but complain. It was so embarrassing. The girl giggled in his arms, her face full of happiness. "I can hear that you like me. You silly girl, you should listen at other times. Right now, all you can hear is that I'm lusting after you. That's also liking me." Lily looked up at him. "Do you lust after other girls too?" "Only you." Leo felt that for the first time, he had been tricked by this naive girl. "It's over. I've been unconsciously dragged down to her level. Why are you hunching over like that?" Lily asked, looking at Leo's strange posture, curious. Leo coughed twice. "Don't ask what you shouldn't ask." Leo and Lily went back and forth for a long time, and in the end, he was coaxed by this naive girl to go to the cafeteria. It was the busiest time at the cafeteria, and there were people everywhere you looked. Other couples might have already checked in at all the various restaurants in the university town, but he and Lily ate at the cafeteria the most. He didn't know what was wrong with this girlfriend of his. He wanted to spend money, but he couldn't. She was too good at managing money. "Do you have anything to do this afternoon?" Leo asked. Lily thought for a moment and said softly, "I have one class. Do you want to go to the amusement park after class?" "We haven't been there yet," Leo said, scrolling through his phone, looking at places they could go nearby. He had always been a bit of a homebody. Going to the mall with Sophie was like a death sentence to him. He didn't know why, but after he started dating Lily, he liked being outside more and more, as long as he was with Lily. "Can we go in a few days?" Lily's voice was small, and she quietly looked up, afraid that Leo would be unhappy. "I'm fine with anything." Leo nodded. Just as he was about to ask why, he saw the girl slowly open her mouth. "Remember to eat well these next 2 days." "What do you mean?" Leo looked at her with a puzzled expression, thinking that this naive girl's words sounded like she was giving her last words. Lily lowered her head and fidgeted with her fingers. "I have to go back to my hometown for a trip." Then she continued to add, "It's the anniversary of my father's death." "I see," Leo paused. "I'll go back with you." Huh. Lily never would have thought that Leo would say this. She forgot to chew the food in her mouth and stared at him blankly. "What if you get kidnapped on the way? Then I won't have a girlfriend anymore." Lily didn't want to waste Leo's time and said in a small voice, I wasn't kidnapped before. I go back by myself every year. She suspected that there was something wrong with Leo's opinion of her. She wasn't that stupid. You were just lucky before, Leo said dismissively. You have to be careful not to be tricked into digging coal. No, they'll also take your kidneys. Leo became more and more serious as he spoke, making it sound real. What if you're kidnapped by human traffickers and taken to the mountains? Then you'll never see me again. He temporarily found a case on his browser and pushed his phone in front of the girl. See for yourself. Lily was completely fooled. She carefully took the phone and read it seriously. You can't be too optimistic, you know? Even if it's a small probability, when it happens to you, it's 100%. Leo continued to add fuel to the fire. But you don't have time, do you? Aren't you very busy lately? Lily said timidly. Hearing this, Leo knew that his plan was already halfway successful. All he needed was a final push. I'm not busy, Leo said very casually. It's Mia and the others who are busy now. After they're done, that's when I'll be busy. It's very far, and the journey will be very tiring. Leo put some food in the girl's bowl. That's right. That's why I have to go take care of you. Lily tilted her head and looked at him. Why was it suddenly so irrefutable? What went wrong just now? Leo was very efficient. He went home that night to pack his things. Because their dorms would no longer be theirs after their junior year, Leo had already brought a lot of his clothes home in advance. Well, look what the cat dragged in. Sophie, who was sitting on the sofa reading, said with a light, sarcastic laugh when she saw her son come back. What are you doing back, Mr. Chen? Leo's hair stood on end. He sat down next to Sophie and started massaging her shoulders. I came back to see you. I missed you. Sophie didn't believe his nonsense at all, but she wasn't in a hurry to expose him. How nice. A son this good is hard to find, isn't it? Leo knew that Sophie knew he was faking it, and Sophie knew that Leo knew that she knew he was faking it. In any case, the two of them chatted amicably for a long time, a perfect picture of a loving mother and a filial son. After a while, Sophie felt that the massage was enough. She took out Marcus's wallet and slapped it on the coffee table. All right, what are you back for? Mom, can't I come back to my own home? Leo was speechless. Do you ever come home unless you have something to do? Sophie looked at him irritably. In fact, she also knew that this was related to her parenting style. She and Marcus would often run off to have a romantic getaway, and Marcus didn't like to restrict Leo and Chloe's development, so it was normal for the children to be more independent. When Leo was in high school, she didn't think much of it when she didn't see him. But these past 2 years, she had been hoping more and more that her children would be at home. She was getting old after all. Sophie sighed to herself. From passionate love to daily life, and now watching the fruit of their love make a mess of things. Maybe this is also a part of love. Not bad. Leo noticed that his mother seemed a little sad. He wasn't afraid of being hit anymore and leaned in closer. When my studio is all online during the summer vacation, I'll stay at home every day and give you massages. Sophie rolled her eyes at Leo with a smile. Forget it. It's more relaxing when I don't see you. You can do whatever you want. A child is an independent individual. She didn't want to tie Leo down. Speaking of which, what are you back for? To pack my things, Leo finally told the truth. It's the anniversary of Lily's father's death. I plan to go back to her hometown with her. Sophie nodded slightly. Is it far from here? Leo casually took a couple of outfits from his bedroom and stuffed them into his bag. It's quite far. It'll probably take a day or two to get back. Then you should go with her. I'm not at ease with her traveling so far alone. Leo suddenly felt a little sour. Why aren't you worried about me being kidnapped by human traffickers? You? You'd be lucky not to sell the human traffickers, Sophie said with a smile. After she finished, she seemed to remember something, and her eyes curved up. She said to Leo, the first time your dad went back with me to visit your grandfather's grave, he suddenly knelt down and said to your grandfather, leave everything to me from now on. I was so touched I almost cried. Leo hadn't even seen a picture of his own grandfather since he could remember. The reason Sophie was so good to Lily was partly because of this. Touching is touching, but it doesn't fit my dad's character at all, Leo said, smacking his lips. He really couldn't imagine a young Marcus saying something like that. Just thinking about it made him cringe. If it were him, he would only think it in his heart. He would never say it out loud. The next morning, Leo arrived at Lily's door and knocked gently. He had only knocked twice when the door was immediately opened. Lily was wearing the t-shirt Leo had bought her and a pair of jeans. She looked like she had gotten up early and washed up. It was clear she didn't want Leo to waste even a second waiting for her. When the girl saw him, she nervously tidied her bangs and quickly stepped aside to let him in. Gee, good morning, Lily said, not knowing what to say, and subconsciously said it. Did you miss me last night? Leo asked in a small voice. Lily nodded with a little embarrassment. In fact, she had even dreamed of Leo last night. It was just that the dream was a little indecent. Leo smiled shamelessly, then stopped his shameless act of teasing someone's daughter in her own home. He walked a few steps and saw Sarah smiling at him. Even the wrinkles on her face were so kind. It made Leo's heart feel warm and fuzzy. Leo, didn't I tell you not to buy things? Sarah was a little helpless. Leo pretended not to hear and put everything aside. Auntie, I didn't buy these. My mom asked me to bring them to you. Sarah was stunned when she heard this, then asked with a little uncertainty. When Lily went to your house for dinner before, she didn't cause you any trouble, did she? My mom loves Lily, Leo said proudly, with a look of shared honor. I was even afraid that she would be so happy that she would adopt Lily as her goddaughter, and then I wouldn't have a girlfriend anymore. Leo's words made Sarah laugh. That's good, that's good. She was really afraid that Leo's parents wouldn't like her overly introverted daughter, or that they would oppose her daughter's relationship with Leo because of her family's financial situation. She didn't care what happened to her. After all, her life was what it was. If she really dragged Lily down, it would be better to die. No matter what, she wanted Lily to be happy. Lily served Leo a bowl of congee and stood obediently on the side, her hands clasped, listening to the two of them chat with a blush on her cheeks. At this moment, Leo smiled at Lily and said, My mom definitely agrees with us being together. I was always afraid that you wouldn't agree. Of course I agree. Annie loves Leo. Sarah deliberately pushed her wheelchair over and patted Leo's head. She had never dreamed that Lily would be with a boy like this. Her daughter was beautiful, but her personality and family background really held her back. After a while Leo was eating breakfast at the table, Sarah called Lily into the bedroom and whispered in her ear, Why don't you let Leo take me back on the way? I'll spend a little money to find a place to stay. You don't have to use the rest of the money to treat me anymore. You stay here and go to school, and in the future, you and Leo can have a good life. I'll go back and stay with your father. You don't have to worry about me anymore. She stroked her daughter's head over and over again, feeling the smooth, silky strands of her hair. Silly girl, even if other people's families are kind, they will still consider my situation. I'm too useless. I can't give you anything. I can only reduce your burden. After hearing this, Lily immediately took a step back, her breathing immediately becoming ragged. She panted as she looked at Sarah, her expression about to become fierce. But she was, after all, a person who didn't know how to lose her temper. The next second, 2 lines of tears streamed down her face. No, I don't want to. Sarah's eyes immediately turned red. She hugged Lily in her arms and continued to say the words she had said countless times. Mom won't say it anymore. Don't cry, be good. After Leo had eaten his fill and the naive girl still hadn't come out, he simply lay down on the table, trying to catch a nap. He felt that he was not a morning person for the rest of his life. Otherwise, he wouldn't have taken a leave of absence to skip class because he couldn't get up. Just as he was about to close his eyes, he saw Lily walk out slowly, her eyes red. Sarah's situation was similar. He had to pretend he didn't see and asked softly, Are you ready to go? Outside, Leo looked at the GPS, his eyebrows furrowed. Not only would it take 4 or 5 hours to drive, but Lily's hometown seemed to be in a very remote location. This was also the reason he hadn't chosen to take the high-speed rail. How did you go back before? He asked, speechless. Lily, hearing the estimated driving time from the GPS, regretted letting Leo come with her even more. She said in a low voice, I took the bus. There's no direct route, right? I have to take it 3 times. Leo nodded and downed the Red Bull in his hand. It's far, but being with this naive girl is never boring. Let's go. Chapter 104. They caught the tail end of the morning rush hour, so it took a little longer to get out of the city. Once they were on the highway, Leo picked up the pace. Why were you crying just now? Leo asked softly. Lily was clearly surprised to hear this. She wasn't surprised that he had noticed she had been crying, but that he had waited until now to ask. After all, Leo always noticed any fluctuation in her mood immediately. My mom told me not to worry about her anymore. Her answer was surprisingly concise. Leo was at a loss for words for a moment. Then he let out a deep sigh. Your auntie really, really loves you. Mum, Lily replied softly, turning to look out the window. Who knows what this naive girl was thinking? After a while, Lily said again in a very small voice, I didn't agree. It took Leo a few seconds to understand what she meant. He reached out his right hand and stroked her head. I told you before, I'm not just playing around with you. I really want to be with you for the rest of my life. So, there are many things we have to face together. I've thought about it, and I don't regret it. And secondly, he looked ahead, his tone suddenly becoming very serious. I have the ability. Leo hadn't started this studio for a dream like Jake had. He had simply wanted to have the ability to be responsible for this naive girl's future, to give Lily a chance to not have to consider other factors and just think about whether she liked him or not. He didn't think that doing something for love was any less noble than doing it for a dream. To grow old with the best girl in the world, isn't that a dream in itself? Lily, I like you. Do you like me? He asked again. I do. I like you very much, Lily replied nervously and seriously. She was a little curious why Leo was suddenly saying this. You like me, and I like you, so we're together. Don't think about other things, and don't think about whether I'll find you a burden. That's not a possibility. Lily felt as if her heart had been pierced. She turned to look at Leo's profile, her gaze trembling. I'll work hard too, she said, her voice trembling. You've always worked hard, Leo said with a smile. I've been watching. I know you know. You're even thinking of secretly buying me a camera. The girl's nose started to tingle, and she looked away again. Leo would always suddenly say things that moved her to tears. She had already said that she would like him no matter what. Did he still think that wasn't enough? Did he need her to like him to the point of no return? The naive girl would occasionally glance at the boy beside her, thinking quietly. But she already liked him as much as she possibly could. The atmosphere in the car soon became comfortable. The only sounds were the two of them chatting in low voices and the occasional voice navigation. From the very beginning of their acquaintance, they had liked being together like this, chatting back and forth on the road, never feeling bored. This is what it's like to be with someone you like. Even just sitting quietly together is comfortable and pleasant, a happy thing. It was also the first time Leo had discovered that he could chat for so long. No matter what he said, Lily would listen quietly and seriously. Lily was even happier. When she used to go back, she was always alone on the bus. She had never thought she would go back like this one day. 2 hours passed in the blink of an eye. Leo pulled the car into a service area. The car slowly came to a stop in a parking space, and then he turned off the engine. Do you need to use the restroom? Leo asked softly. The girl shook her head gently. Leo reclined his seat a little and let out a lazy yawn. I'm going to sleep for 20 minutes. Wake me up when the time is up. He still had to drive for another 3 hours. He wouldn't be able to make it without a break. This was the first time he had driven this far since he had learned to drive. Okay, Lily said, looking at the time, planning to let Leo sleep a little longer. Do you want to get out and get some fresh air? Leo asked, his eyelids heavy. No, you go to sleep, Lily said in a small voice. I'll watch you sleep here. Leo closed his eyes and reached out to the girl, his hand grasping at the air. Soon, a soft little hand slipped into his, unmoving, obediently letting him hold it. He squeezed it slightly, and the girl squeezed back. Good girl. I'll reward you with a kiss, Leo teased happily, and soon fell into a deep sleep, completely unaware that the girl had actually leaned her cheek over to him. 10 minutes later, Lily looked at the sleeping him and unconsciously leaned a little closer. She didn't know why she could look at him for so long. She just loved to watch the steady rise and fall of his chest as he breathed, loved to watch his peaceful sleeping face, loved to watch his handsome profile. She loved being by his side. 2 hours had passed in the blink of an eye. If only we could be together forever. When you truly love someone, even a lifetime feels too short. Lily felt she had become a very greedy person. Leo was woken up by a tickling sensation. When he woke up, their hands were still tightly clasped. After his mind cleared a little, he immediately realized that the tickling on his neck was the girl's hair. Many long, soft strands of her hair were draped over his neck, making him feel itchy all over. Feeling the occasional breath on his cheek, Leo fought the urge to open his eyes. What is this naive girl up to? She can't be trying to take advantage of me, can she? So naughty. If you're going to take advantage of me, can you hurry up? I've been waiting so patiently. No. Why do you always pick when my eyes are closed? Lily, you're playing a big game. Leo, I love you, the girl said in a very, very small voice. It still seemed a little unfamiliar, so she cleared her throat. Leo, I love you. Who knows if this naive girl was trying to figure out the difference between like and love, or if she was trying to practice. In any case, she just kept repeating it in a small voice, over and over again, until it was no longer halting, her voice sweet. The clumsy girl was expressing her feelings for Leo in her own way. Leo suspected he was still dreaming. How can my girlfriend be this cute? He used all his strength to suppress the smile that was constantly trying to form on his lips and continued to pretend to be asleep. There was no turning back now. He was sure that if he opened his eyes now, Lily would be so embarrassed she would run out of the car and bury herself, never wanting to see him again. Just as Leo was about to fall asleep again, a kiss was finally pressed firmly on his cheek. Well, this is it. He didn't know if Lily had any special hobbies, but he felt he was really going to be ruined. Chapter 105. At this moment, Leo had only one thought in his mind. I really want to open my eyes, hold this naive girl down, and kiss her wildly. But he quickly suppressed this thought. As long as I pretend not to notice, this naive girl might secretly kiss me again in the future. Thinking of this, Leo suddenly felt a sense of clarity. This isn't her taking advantage of me. This is me taking advantage of her. After a little while, after being gently shaken by Lily twice, Leo finally pretended to have just woken up and slowly opened his eyes. Have some water. Lily handed the thermos to Leo and said softly. After having so many indirect kisses with Leo, her tolerance had increased a lot. The naive frog seemed completely unaware that the water around her was getting warmer and warmer. The master chef Leo, who only knew how to boil a frog, took the cup and drank a few large gulps. I just had a dream, Leo said. Lily looked at him curiously. What dream? I dreamed that you secretly kissed me. The girl suddenly didn't dare to look at him and quickly sat up straight in her seat. Dreams are all fake. She felt so nervous. Her fingers were all twisted together. Lily, look what you've done. You're just one step away from being labeled a pervert. Even though it was just secretly kissing her own boyfriend, Lily still felt like she was going to die of embarrassment. But she quickly changed to another self-deceiving thought. 10 minutes had passed since the kiss. If he had really woken up, how could he have held out for so long? Leo wasn't that boring. Yes, that must be it. Leo snorted with disdain. I'm still happy even if it's fake. It was almost noon now. The scorching sun hung high in the sky, the strong light making it hard to even open your eyes. Leo took the sunglasses from the car and put them on the girl, then started the engine. Seeing Lily wearing sunglasses, Leo couldn't help but laugh. You look pretty cool. This pure and cute naive girl looked quite different with sunglasses on. Another 3 hours passed before Leo finally parked the car near Lily's hometown. The rest of the way was too difficult to drive, so they had to get out and walk. Unlike the concrete jungle of the city, the view in the wild was very open. The clouds were high in the sky, and the air was very fresh. It was the end of June. The moment Leo got out of the car, he saw a field of golden wheat stretching as far as the eye could see, meeting the blue sky at the horizon. He couldn't help but stop and stare. Whenever a gentle breeze blew, all the wheat would sway together, the waves of wheat like tides, constantly surging and receding. He felt he could even smell the fragrance of the wheat. Do you want to try some? Lily asked softly, standing beside him. Seeing Leo's captivated expression, she found it amusing. It turned out that her seemingly all-knowing boyfriend also had moments of being so inexperienced. So cute. Can you eat this stuff directly? Leo asked, turning his head to look at her in shock. Although he would occasionally go back to his hometown with Marcus, he really didn't know much about these things. He naturally didn't know that nature, just like slides and amusement parks, can also give children a complete and happy childhood. Yes, the girl said softly, reaching out and picking a small ear of wheat. She rubbed it between her palms. After she opened her hands and blew gently, only a few grains of wheat were left in her palm. Here. Leo took a grain and put it in his mouth in disbelief. His eyebrows furrowed. It tasted a little strange. A little old. Seeing his reaction, Lily couldn't help but smile. Wheat doesn't taste good when it turns yellow. It's best when it's still green. It's soft and tender and a little sweet. How long do we have to walk? Leo asked, looking at the girl. The gentle breeze kept blowing her hair, and it swayed slightly with the wheat field behind her, making Leo feel a little dazed. He suddenly noticed that this naive girl's hair had grown a little longer. He didn't know if she had deliberately grown it out because he liked it. He felt a little touched. Still a little while. Lily said with her head down, a little embarrassed. Seeing that Leo was taking a picture of her, she cooperatively mustered her courage and looked at the camera. Posing was still a little difficult for her, but she was fine with Leo taking pictures of her. Maybe because she had been influenced by Leo, she now liked to take pictures of him too, and would occasionally look at his photos and smile to herself. At first, she didn't quite understand it, but now she just felt that it was a happy thing to record the appearance of the person you like. When you see the photo again, you can even recall the things you experienced together that day. Leo put down his phone and reached out to her with a smile. Then we can just take a slow walk with my girlfriend. Lily's guilt dissipated a lot. She timidly held hands with Leo and walked along the small path together. After the change in environment, all the original pressure seemed to be left behind. Seeing Leo's surprised reactions, she also felt like she was on an outing. She hadn't experienced this kind of relaxed and happy feeling in a long, long time. Most importantly, Leo was by her side. At this moment, she wished with all her might that time would slow down, so she could selfishly enjoy it a little longer. Just a little. After a long while, the two of them walked through the wheat field and into the mountains. Leo never would have thought that he had been telling this naive girl to be careful not to be sold to the mountains. But now it seemed he was the one who had been tricked into the mountains. When they reached a place familiar to Lily, she gradually became more talkative. Like a tour guide, she would from time to time tell Leo about all sorts of things he had never seen before. It was only after she caught a cricket that she learned that her boyfriend was so afraid of insects. Seeing the girl giggle, Leo speechlessly turned his attention elsewhere and walked to a small, fast-flowing stream. The moment he put his hand in, he felt a wave of coolness. Can you catch fish? He asked, turning his head. Hearing this, the girl who had been smiling just now turned back into her naive self. She didn't know how to answer and could only mumble, I can't do everything either. Leo ran around in the mountains, looking here and there. At this moment, the two of them seemed to have turned back into children, making Lily feel a little dazed. Many of the scenery she had seen and places she had played in as a child had taken on a new meaning after she brought Leo here. If the childhood Leo had been playing with her here, it would have been just like this, right? Suddenly, she remembered something and stepped forward, taking Leo's right hand with both of hers. Let me take you to a place. You'll definitely like it. There's such a thing. Leo's playful spirit was ignited, and he followed behind the girl like a silly deer. The two of them walked with light steps, clearly savoring the moment. At first, Lily was a little scared. She was worried that Leo would regret coming here, or that he wouldn't like hearing her talk about her childhood. Fortunately, from the looks of it, Leo really liked this place and was in high spirits. As for whether he liked it here or liked being with her, the girl didn't dare to make a conclusion. She was, after all, a little insecure. But seeing Leo looking around with a curious expression, She also put this question to the back of her mind. As long as Leo is happy, other things are not that important. Looking at the lush green scenery around them, Leo had a fleeting thought that it would be quite nice to live here. After thinking about the lack of takeout and the possibility of all sorts of insects, he quickly dismissed this thought. Soon, he followed Lily to a lake surrounded by mountains. The surroundings became even quieter, with a cool breeze blowing from time to time. There was a small village on the other side of the lake, and everything seemed so peaceful and serene. A nice place, Leo said, sitting on a large rock, a sincere sigh of admiration. Do you really like this kind of place? Lily sat down obediently beside Leo and rested her head on his shoulder. She felt that Leo seemed to like all sorts of lakes and seas. Now Leo felt even more like he was on a trip. How did you know? He asked curiously. When we were at the pavilion at school, you would often look at the lake next to it. Lily's tone was a little proud, and she sounded cute and naive. You would always look at it quietly for a long time. She would also quietly watch him from the side. Leo smiled faintly and gently pulled the girl into his arms, stroking her soft, long hair. Sometimes you're not so naive, he said softly. Lily didn't care if Leo was teasing her or not. She was so happy to be praised that she snuggled in his arms like a cat. I used to sit here for half a day when I was little. The bracelet I gave you was made while I was sitting here. Leo nodded slightly. Did you ever think when you were little that you would be sitting here with your boyfriend in the future? I did. Lily rarely took the initiative to hold his hand. When I was little, I thought that when I had a boyfriend, I would take him to my favorite place. After all, I've never had many friends. This is the place where I've spent the most time alone. It's just what? Leo asked, looking down at the girl in his arms, curious. Lily buried her face in his clothes with a little embarrassment. I just didn't expect my boyfriend to be so amazing. You naive girl is just a naive girl, Leo said, poking the girl's cheek with a smile. He looked up at the small village in the distance. Did you live there before? Yes, we might have to stay here for one night today. Lily turned her head slightly to look, then continued to fix her gaze on Leo. Grandma will give us a place to stay. We just don't have to talk to other people. Leo was at a loss for words. He could vaguely imagine the scene of Lily coming back alone in the past few years. You don't like it there? Lily nodded in his arms. I don't like them. Then we'll leave after we're done. We won't stay here, he said, gently stroking the girl in his arms. He felt more and more that Lily must have been a cat in her past life. So well-behaved and easy to pet. Who wouldn't like her? The girl looked up at him in surprise. You'll be very tired. She was halfway through her sentence when she saw Leo put his index finger to his lips and smile at her. Why do you think I insisted on coming with you? He narrowed his eyes and looked at the small mountain village in the distance, lost in thought. You said it yourself, this isn't your home. From now on, I'll bring you here every year, and you won't have to have any contact with them anymore. It's not a good thing for them to see me. You can't let them know you're doing well, and you don't need to let them know. These short-sighted relatives who only cared about their own interests were naturally best kept at a distance. For now, it's one thing. But if Lily really becomes a little rich woman in the future, it will be troublesome to be pestered by these people. It's better to cut off contact from now on. Anyway, these people don't care about the lives of Sarah and Lily. The bond of blood is only valuable when both parties are willing to give. When one party only wants to take, it becomes a parasitic, umbilical cord, worthless. He looked at the girl in his arms, who seemed to understand, and said, Anyway, I don't need their permission to marry you. As long as your auntie agrees, that's all that matters. After a long while, Lily hugged Leo's waist tightly and let out a mosquito-like How much do you remember about your uncle? Leo asked softly, walking beside Lily. I remember a lot, Lily recalled seriously. What impressed her the most was the look in her father's eyes when he looked at her back then. Before that, she could hardly believe that a person's eyes could contain so many emotions at the same time. Love, reluctance, unwillingness, deep longing, and fear. That was the last time she saw her father. After he was covered with a white cloth, Sarah wouldn't let her look at him no matter what. When I was little, my dad would often go out to work, but every time he came back, he would bring me a lot of delicious food and little dresses, Lily said with a smile on her lips, her voice soft. I didn't know how much these things were worth back then, but I knew that the other children in the village didn't have them, and the children of the people who went to work with my dad didn't have them either. Only my dad was willing to buy these things. My mom would always say he was spending money recklessly, and then she would sigh and praise me for looking pretty in a dress. She was halfway through her sentence when she gently linked her arm through Leo's. In her entire life, only 2 people had ever bought her dresses. Besides her father, there was only Leo. So when she first put on the dress Leo had bought for her, she had really held back her tears for a long time. He would have definitely gotten along with you. If he were still here, Lily said seriously. Dad would have liked you just as much as Mom does. If you want to cry, just cry. I'm here, Leo said, stroking the girl's head. He could hear that her voice was trembling a little. Your boyfriend will wipe your tears for free. You won't get this deal anywhere else. No, you can't be a good girlfriend if you only cry, Lily said, hugging Leo's arm a little tighter. I want to be stronger, so I can be your support in the future. I don't cry, Leo said with a light laugh. That's not what I mean. Lily became a little anxious, not knowing how to explain. Leo looked at her with amusement. I know. I'm just teasing you. Lily puffed out her cheeks. She had just been thinking how good Leo was to her, and now he was teasing her. So mean. She couldn't get angry, of course, so she could only protest like this to maintain a semblance of normalcy. Along the way, Leo didn't pay attention to anything. He just followed wherever Lily went. Fortunately, Lily was very familiar with the road and soon led him to a small mound of earth. She pursed her lips, fighting back the sadness in her heart, and stepped forward to pull out the weeds around the mound. I'll help you. Lily looked up, stunned, and saw Leo squatting on the other side, doing the same thing, carefully and efficiently. She didn't say anything more, just sniffled and continued to lower her head, pulling out the weeds as fast as she could. The girl knew she couldn't stop Leo, but she also knew that if she worked faster, Leo would have less to do. Time passed quickly when you were busy. Soon, it was dusk, and the sky gradually darkened, making people feel depressed. By this time, the two of them had almost finished pulling out the weeds around the grave. Leo stood up and clapped his hands. If you have something you want to say, I'll stand over there and wait for you. Lily's gaze was fixed on Leo's muddy hands. She nodded with a complicated expression. Then she took out the paper money she had bought from her canvas bag and drew a circle on the ground with her finger. Leo leaned against a tree in the distance, watching the girl silently. A few minutes later, all he could see in his eyes was a ball of fire. The flickering flames in the night lit up the surroundings, and also illuminated Lily's delicate and beautiful profile, and the line of clear tears that kept streaming down her cheeks. Lily's eyes were dry from the heat, and she closed them unconsciously. She knelt quietly on the ground, gently patting the earth with her hand, then slowly opened her mouth in a very small voice. Dad, I'm sorry. I'm still slowly saving up money to treat Mom. It looks like I'll have to wait until after I graduate no matter what. I'm still so useless, but I'm really trying my best. Oh, right, Dad, I have a boyfriend. He's very, very good to me. I really like him. I'm not just focusing on my relationship and ignoring Mom. Please don't blame me. Perhaps because she had spoken her most vulnerable thoughts, the girl became a little choked up. If you don't blame me, come see me in my dreams. You haven't come for a long, long time. I'm starting to forget what you look like. As she mumbled, she suddenly saw a figure standing beside her out of the corner of her eye. Then it got lower and lower, until it was at about the same height as her, who was kneeling. Leo was also kneeling beside her. His movements were swift and decisive, without any hesitation. Hello, Uncle. My name is Leo. Under the girl's shocked and dazed gaze, he said again in a low voice, Leave everything to me from now on. Lily's mouth opened and closed, but in the end, all the words were stuck in her throat. In fact, she didn't even know what she wanted to say right now. She could only turn her head and silently feed the paper money into the fire, watching it turn red and finally turn to ash. The flames became a blur in her eyes, but the 2 lines of tears on her cheeks just wouldn't stop. She sobbed, and Leo knelt beside her, silently accompanying her. Lily thought that if, many years later, someone asked her at which moment she had wanted to marry Leo, she might say that she had wanted to marry him at every moment. But if they asked her at which moment she had wanted to marry him the most, it would definitely be now. The scars left by all the hardships over the years, from this moment on, truly began to heal. It's so scary walking in the mountains at night, Leo said, complaining as he gently wiped the tears from the girl's face with a tissue. The 2 of them were sitting in the car. Leo had rarely turned on the car stereo, but now he did. Don't ask, just assume he suddenly wanted to listen to music and had nothing to do with building up courage. It was only now that he knew that the moonlight also had a lighting function. Unlike in the city, when there was no moon here at night, you really couldn't see your hand in front of your face. There was no light at all. You're actually afraid of insects, Lily said with a choked voice. Leo felt like he could die. How could his lifelong reputation be ruined by a small insect? Can we please forget about this? No. There was still a teardrop hanging on the corner of Lily's curved eye, but Leo could see that she was really smiling at this moment. Leo looked at the girl's appearance and couldn't help but smile too. Forget it. A lifelong reputation is useless, as long as this naive girl is happy. Actually, I wasn't afraid of insects when I was little, Leo said, starting the engine with a helpless expression. Until later, I used a magnifying glass to observe their mouthparts, especially those of crickets and spiders. He shivered slightly. From then on, I started to be afraid of insects. I really can't accept this kind of thing touching my skin. His words also made Lily feel a little creeped out. She rubbed the corner of her eye and said softly, Isn't it unsafe for you to drive when you're so tired? Why don't we just sleep in the car for one night? She mustered her courage and proposed a suggestion that, under normal circumstances, she would never have proposed in her entire life. You might suffocate if you sleep in the car for one night, you naive girl, Leo said, poking her on the forehead. If it were just him, he might have really just opened the car window a little and made do for the night. But with this naive girl, he couldn't. He wouldn't be at ease until he took her home. Then you should just sleep for a while, Lily said again in a small voice, as if afraid that Leo would refute her opinion again. Leo was really tired. She could see that. The empty cans of Red Bull next to him could also prove it. As she spoke, she turned her gaze to the back seat. You can. Rest your head on my lap. The girl's voice got smaller and smaller, lighter and lighter, until it was completely inaudible. To be honest, Leo, upon hearing this, immediately stopped feeling sleepy. He was completely energized. But the last shred of his reason prompted him to ask with a wicked smile. We're in the middle of nowhere right now. No one will come to save you even if you scream. Aren't you afraid I'll have bad intentions? Lily shook her head firmly. I'm not afraid. You're not that kind of person. What if I am? He asked, leaning in close to the girl, a wicked smile on his face. The girl thought about it for a while, looking both nervous and scared, but she still said seriously, her voice trembling. Then I'd still like you. Don't say any more. I can't take it. Leo felt like he was about to spit out a mouthful of blood. He quickly clutched his chest and took a few deep breaths. It's just a silly, naive girl. Don't just land a critical hit every now and then. After Lily said it, she was also very embarrassed and turned her face away, not willing to look at him. Actually, even if you did have bad intentions towards me, I would still like you just the same, Leo said in a deliberately small voice after a while, as if he wanted to get his own back. Perhaps to maintain his dignity as a chef who only knew how to boil a frog, he always liked to be competitive in this aspect. I know you definitely don't believe me. Want to try and mess with me? Leo asked. Then you'll know if I'm telling the truth or not. I don't want to. Lily was so embarrassed when she heard this. Her voice was even a little louder than usual. You don't want to, but I do. Before this naive girl could react, Leo's kiss landed on her cheek. The tear tracks were still there, and it tasted salty. Lily was a little scared. She didn't know if Leo was joking or serious, so she could only close her eyes and go along with him. Fortunately, Leo had a good sense of propriety. After a while, the girl was not so nervous anymore. She hugged Leo tightly, letting him kiss her on her cheek and neck. It was quite nice to have more permissions unlocked. Although they couldn't kiss yet, at least now this naive girl could accept him kissing her on her neck and cheek. If things continue to develop like this, isn't kissing just around the corner? At this moment, Leo only hated that he hadn't added enough firewood to the pot usually. People are always greedy. Before, Leo thought it was great to just kiss her on the cheek. Now, he always wanted to go a step further from time to time. After all, he still didn't know what kissing felt like. After a long while, Leo was satisfied with teasing Lily. He felt like he was fully charged and started driving happily. You're thinking bad things. Lily sat in the passenger seat, hugging her knees tightly, her face buried in them, and said in a very small voice. Why do you say that? Leo found it strange. You were pressing against me just now. As a person living in the 21st century, there was some knowledge that she couldn't not understand even if she wanted to. Not to mention with an old pro like Mia around. Although Mia had never had a boyfriend, when she started talking about these things, it wasn't just talking, it was like flying close to the ground. Leo cleared his throat with a little embarrassment. Don't talk nonsense. You were. The ostrich beside him said stubbornly. She had felt a TV remote pressing against her the whole time. Could it be that Leo carried a remote control with him? Leo didn't know how to argue for a moment, so he just snorted coldly. If you keep talking nonsense, I'll kiss your mouth. Lily was intimidated. Like an innocent girl who had been bullied, she didn't dare to cry out. Seeing the girl's shy and angry look, Leo showed a proud smile. As expected, as long as you have a thick enough skin, you have no weaknesses. The car quickly became quiet. The rapid breathing from the beginning was gone, and so was the sound of the two of them chatting. Leo drove on the empty road, the car lights only illuminating the lush trees on both sides of the road. But he didn't feel lonely at all. You're so easy to bully, Leo suddenly said with a smile. Seeing that Lily didn't respond, he turned his head curiously and saw the girl with her eyes closed, leaning quietly against the window, her chest rising and falling regularly. Her small hand was drooping near him, slightly open. This naive girl was so beautiful even when she was asleep, so well-behaved. At this moment, Leo felt that the whole world had become completely quiet, making him just want to quietly watch her sleep. Seeing the girl's peaceful expression and the corners of her lips curled up, Leo smiled helplessly, turned up the air conditioning a little, and reached out his right hand to tuck the hair on her cheek behind her ear. You silly naive girl. You can be so happy even in a dream. After a while, he regretted a little that he had been busy driving just now and hadn't noticed the girl's outstretched hand. He gently held it and mumbled in a small voice. You have no sense of caution at all. I'll trick you into being my wife sooner or later. Leo didn't make any more noise on the way, afraid of waking Lily up. The long drive was a bit hard to endure, but for some reason, he felt very happy. In fact, what moved him the most was not some grand, passionate love, but this kind of peaceful and stable life, where he would from time to time suddenly feel a sense of comfortable happiness. For example, when he saw Lily wearing an apron and cooking for him, or now, with the girl sleeping quietly beside him. The time was gentle, quiet, and beautiful. This was the life he wanted. Lily was still being lovey-dovey with Leo in her dream when she was suddenly poked awake. Wake up, naive girl, get up. If you don't wake up, I'll take you to a hotel. Hearing Leo's voice and seeing his gentle, smiling face, she finally realized that she had been dreaming just now, but now also felt like a dream. Where are we? The girl asked, rubbing her sleepy eyes and yawning. She really couldn't remember when she had fallen asleep. It felt like she had only slept for a little while, and she was still very sleepy. Leo smiled and sighed, pointing to the small alley outside the car window. We're home. Huh. Lily still hadn't quite reacted. She stared blankly out the window, and a few seconds later, she finally accepted reality. It was like she had time traveled. Leo looked at the girl's surprised, naive expression, and felt all his fatigue disappear. Do you feel like you've time traveled? He said with a smile. This is a superpower that only people who are loved have. He had had this experience as a child. He vaguely remembered falling asleep in the car very tiredly many times, and when he woke up the next day, he was already lying in a soft bed, with the covers tucked in. He had never paid attention to this when he was little. When he grew up, he no longer had the chance to enjoy this superpower. I'm sorry. This was the first thing Lily said after she came to her senses. Leo was stunned for a moment. What are you sorry for? Lily's hand tightened her grip, her face full of guilt and heartache. I shouldn't have fallen asleep. I really didn't mean to. She couldn't drive, but she could still imagine how boring and tiring it was for Leo to drive alone for so long. The sky outside was already starting to get light. The more the girl spoke, the more anxious she became. I don't know why I suddenly fell asleep. Leo was stunned. He felt more and more that this naive girl was both gentle and cute. Before the girl could cry with regret, he stroked her head. Actually, I quite like the feeling of you sleeping next to me. And I looked at you for so long on the way, so we're even. He then leaned in front of the girl, looking into her eyes, which were covered with a layer of mist. If you still feel bad about it, you can give me some compensation. Lily blinked her eyes, her voice filled with a mix of emotion and fear as she asked, what kind of compensation do you want? Having been with her for so long, Leo naturally knew that saying something like, it's okay, I'm not tired, would be useless at this point. He swore to himself that he wasn't doing this to satisfy his own selfish desires. With these thoughts clear in his mind, Leo pointed to his own lips. Lily thought for a moment, then slowly shook her head. No, why not? This rare refusal from the naive girl took Leo by surprise. Because this is what a girlfriend is supposed to do. It can't be considered compensation, Lily said nervously, fidgeting with her fingers. Although I'm still not brave enough to do these things. I'll do them all with you sooner or later. It took Leo a long time to understand this naive girl's train of thought. So, she meant that these things were what he deserved, and if they were considered compensation, he would be at a loss. This naive frog was about to be boiled, and she was still thinking about the person cooking the pot. I'm going to cry. The thought that flashed through his mind almost made Leo burst out laughing. Seeing Leo trying to hold back his laughter until he was coughing, Lily felt like she could die. What are you laughing at? She mumbled a little sad. She had been so serious. Then how about something that can be considered compensation? Leo suddenly said. What? Lily suddenly regretted it. She should have thought of something herself. What was the difference between giving Leo the choice and a sheep walking into a tiger's den? Leo didn't say anything, just typed 2 words on his phone and showed them to the girl. Call me that. The girl's face instantly turned beet red. It's too early. It's not a problem. This isn't something a girlfriend is supposed to do, right? Since it's not, it can be considered compensation, Leo said, almost believing it himself. It's not like I won't call you that after we're married. Lily's voice was almost inaudible, a weak resistance. Leo deliberately yawned. Anyway, you're going to call me that sooner or later. Just think of it as calling me that once in advance to compensate me. Lily deeply regretted giving this bad guy the choice. But thinking about how hard Leo must have worked on the way, she could only nod helplessly and say in a small voice, just this once. With that, she brought her mouth to Leo's ear with a wronged expression and called out his name in a very small voice. Leo froze on the spot, like a statue, unmoving. She felt so ashamed and continued to act like an ostrich, saying with a wrong tone, really, just this once. You should forget about it right now. I didn't say anything just now. But as soon as she said it, Leo suddenly grabbed her wrist tightly. After a long while, the two of them were walking side by side in the small alley. Lily was tidying her messy hair like a bullied kitten. Even though it was a little dim, you could still see the blush on her cheeks, and the very obvious red marks deep on her neck. When she noticed them, she quickly pulled her t-shirt up a little. If her mother saw them, she would rather die. Lily now knew how the legendary hickeys were made, but the price was that she had to be the test subject. It looked like she had been marked by Leo as his property. So embarrassing. She could only keep pulling her t-shirt up, pretending she couldn't see anything. Seeing the girl like this, Leo felt a little guilty, but also a little smug. After all, he had personally left these strawberries. Every time he saw them, he could clearly recall what had just happened. I told you it would be better if it was a little deeper, but you wouldn't let me, Leo said helplessly. Lily butted him with her head like a little calf. You said it again. How much deeper could it be? Any deeper, and she would have to take off her clothes. I won't say it again, I won't say it again. Leo smiled and shrugged, taking the girl's hand. He waited until her cheeks were not so red before he took her home. The next few days, Leo continued to monitor the project's progress, while Lily worked overtime to review for her exams. Every university student has a genetic lock that can only be opened the night before an exam. After it's unlocked, their brain can operate at an unprecedented speed. It takes predecessors a lifetime to research and summarize the theorems in a few books, but they can review them all in one night. Time flew by, and it was the last day of the university's final exams. After their exams, Leo and Jake continued to go back to the studio to work on their own things. Neither of them took the exams too seriously. The two words, fail, and Leo were completely unrelated. His grades were always at the top of the class. As for Jake, he was used to it and took it even less seriously than Leo. For him, as long as he didn't get a score that the teacher couldn't even salvage, it was a success. The rest could be left to the great teachers. What's wrong? You don't seem to be in high spirits, Leo asked, seeing Jake's long face. Jake slumped in his chair. He wanted to light a cigarette, but remembered that someone had taken his lighter, which made him even more depressed. Sigh, I had a fight with my girlfriend. Leo's gaze was fixed on the computer screen, looking incredibly focused. About what? Because I've been too busy lately and haven't been spending much time with her, Jake said, slapping his desk with a little helplessness. It has nothing to do with me. I didn't make you work overtime. You were the one who found work for yourself. Leo quickly distanced himself from the matter. He really hadn't arranged for Jake to do much. It was Jake who was too dedicated. It was also strange that in the entire studio, only he, the leader, seemed to be slacking off. Because he had arranged everything so well, everyone naturally had no objections. Have you ever had a fight with Lily? Jake suddenly asked after a while. No, Leo replied quickly. Really? She's never been angry with you? Never, Leo said with a smug shrug. Not to mention fighting. He couldn't even imagine the girl being angry. Jake had asked for it. He threw a paper cup at this guy and didn't say anything else. He was afraid his brother would suffer, but he was also afraid his brother would drive a Land Rover. Leo, you really deserve to die. What kind of luck is this? A few minutes later, Leo looked at the progress of the art team, his expression a little complicated. They had finished their work very quickly, but Mia had clearly put in too much effort. No matter how you looked at it, this was not a good thing. He looked up and said to Jake, if the game launches smoothly, you can help Mia interview another artist to be her assistant. Hearing this, Jake immediately sat up straight. Why? First, to take over for her in the future. Seeing Jake was startled, Leo quickly finished his sentence. In case she doesn't want to stay here in the future, she won't be stuck. As a friend, I have to make sure she can leave immediately. Second, she's not in good health. When the studio officially starts running, it will be much more tiring than now. We need to find someone to help her lighten the load. Only then did Jake breathe a sigh of relief. This doesn't fit your black-hearted character. Is it because she's your girlfriend's best friend? Not entirely. Leo smiled and took a sip of water, then continued to joke. If I work them to death, how can I exploit them? Lily was on her way to find Leo, her feelings complicated. It is well known that love makes people stupid. Not only does it affect the speed at which all boys draw their swords, but it can also turn a genius who has the talent to become a palace intrigue champion into a silly sweet girl. This is enough to prove how terrible this thing is. She had been a little sad these past few days because Leo had suddenly become much more well-behaved. He no longer took advantage of her verbally or physically. He was so well-behaved he was like a different person. It even made her miss the times when she would kiss and hug Leo. It's not just boys who crave the other person's body in a relationship, girls do too. It's a mutual thing. Otherwise, if a relationship is so pure, it would be better to just become sworn siblings. Inside the studio, Leo saw Lily's figure and was about to hand her a cup of water when she, with her head down, pulled him into the office. Jake looked at the closed door with a smug expression, recalling Lily's hurried steps just now, and muttered to himself, haha, and you say you never fight. Keep pretending. Under Leo's extremely shocked gaze, Lily silently locked the door, and with her head down and her face red, she slowly walked up to him. Finally, she rested her forehead on Leo's chest and asked in a voice that was almost inaudible, Do you want to kiss me? Leo unconsciously swallowed. What did you say? He couldn't quite believe it. He had only been busy for a few days, and this naive girl had already learned to add firewood to her own pot? Lily secretly looked up at Leo's shocked expression and suddenly felt even more ashamed. Her small hands clutched Leo's clothes tightly, unable to say a word. How did I suddenly become a fool who can't live without kissing and hugging Leo? She couldn't figure it out, so she just stopped thinking about it. After all, she hadn't seen much of Leo these past few days of studying for exams. She gritted her teeth, closed her eyes, and hugged him with both hands, actively offering herself to him. Leo, who was already very shocked, was now completely stunned. He hadn't expected Lily to be so forward. For some reason, He remembered every single one of this naive girl's active changes very clearly. Because this naive girl is really trying so hard to love him, to change for him. As his thoughts drifted more and more, he also slowly hugged the lovely girl in front of him, burying his face in her neck, inhaling the unique, fresh scent of the girl in front of him. Lily's waist was very thin and very comfortable to hold. With just a gentle pull of his arm, the soft girl would fall directly into his arms. The girl didn't resist, letting Leo hold her tightly, and even gave him a light peck on the cheek. Then she continued to bury her face in Leo's clothes. At this moment, all the fatigue from staying up late these past few days completely disappeared. Of course, there was also the longing that had kept her tossing and turning at night. These past few days, both Leo and she had had their own things to do, which had given her a good taste of what it felt like to miss her boyfriend. She would even be thinking about whether Leo had eaten well while she was eating, but she didn't dare to send a message directly, afraid that Leo was busy and would find her too chatty. Leo suddenly smelled a hint of lychee fruit candy, but he didn't think much of it, and began to respond to her seriously, lowering his head to kiss the girl's cheek. This naive girl's skin was particularly good, tender and soft. It was incredibly satisfying to kiss. Don't leave a hickey, Lily specifically instructed, actively tilting her neck up so that it wouldn't be too uncomfortable for Leo to kiss her. Okay. Leo, the master chef who only knew how to boil a frog and was also a strawberry planting expert, had to obediently follow the girl's request. Just being able to kiss was enough. What more could he ask for? But he had only temporarily put aside his plan to plant strawberries. He hadn't given up at all. In fact, he had secretly resolved to leave hickeys all over this naive girl's body sooner or later. You have dark circles, Leo said, gently holding the girl's cheek after a while, his voice full of concern. Lily's mouth was pouted from being held, and even her speech became a little slurred. You have them too. His dark circles were no lighter than hers. It was clear that he had been staying up late recently. Leo widened his eyes with both hands, as if he were making a silly face. I specially got them for you. It's a couple's look. When we walk down the street, people will know we're a couple at a glance. The girl couldn't help but smile when she heard this. Of course she knew Leo was joking, but hearing this made her heart uncontrollably happy. She was the easiest to please. Even something as simple as this could make her happy for a long time. But as much as she smiled, she was still very concerned. Although she didn't feel any concern for herself at all, she was particularly concerned when she saw Leo had dark circles. You should stay up less, Lily said in a small voice. Leo continued to rub the girl's face, watching as her cute face made all sorts of funny expressions. He joked, I can't help it. Money doesn't grow on trees. If I don't work hard now, how am I going to give you a good life after we get married? He deliberately used a teasing tone to prevent the girl from discovering that he was really doing it for her and adding to her psychological burden for no reason. He never would have thought that even with this teasing tone, Lily would still take his words to heart. She held Leo's hands tightly and said nervously and seriously, It's okay. You don't have to pay for my mother's treatment. In the future, as long as you're by my side, everything will be fine. If we can't afford a car, we can just ride an electric scooter. You can take me every day, and I can hug you from behind. We can save up for a house slowly. At worst, we just won't live in Hangzhou. I'll go wherever you want to go. The girl was counting on her fingers, seriously calculating. I can cook, so we just need money to buy groceries. And I don't have many hobbies, and I don't like shopping, so I don't spend much money. Lily was halfway through her sentence when she was pulled into a tight hug by Leo again. His lips twitched, his feelings complicated. If it weren't for not being of legal age, he would have really wanted to take this naive girl to get married right now, although he didn't know if she would be willing. The more this naive girl said things like this, the more he wanted to work hard to give her a better life. How could he possibly let a girlfriend like this suffer even a little bit? Not even a little. The sudden hug startled Lily. After she came back to her senses, she also hugged him back tightly, her two hands on Leo's back. She closed her eyes and rubbed her cheek against his, her face full of happiness as she said softly, Nothing else matters to me, as long as you can always be by my side. She felt Leo's rapid heartbeat and resolved to work even harder. What if she really did become a little rich woman who could support Leo in the future? Then she wouldn't let Leo do anything. He would just have to dote on her and love her every day, give her kisses and hugs, and spend the rest of his time playing games. Coincidentally, Leo was thinking the same thing. He gently stroked the calluses that shouldn't have been on the girl's delicate hands, looked at the proposal on the table, his gaze unusually firm, and swore to be responsible for her future. He, a boy, didn't even have calluses on his hands. Why should these things be on his girlfriend's hands? After a long while, Jake saw that Chloe had only replied with a beating emoji, and he felt a little sad. But then he thought of his good brother Leo, who was also fighting with his girlfriend, and he immediately felt much better. People are like that. They're not afraid of their own misery. They're just afraid of being the only one who's miserable. Seeing the door to Leo's office slowly open, he cleared his throat, suppressed the smile on his lips, and prepared to watch a good show. And then he saw Leo and Lily come out of the office together, inseparable. That's not right. Weren't you supposed to be suffering with your brother? While he was still in a daze, his mouth agape, Leo sat down in front of him with a disgusted look on his face. What's with that stupid expression? Hurry up and confirm the project progress again. As for Lily, the moment she stepped out, she was pulled aside by Mia, who had just returned to the studio. How was it? How was it? Did you eat the fruit candy I told you to eat? How did your first kiss feel? Mia became more and more excited as she spoke. He must have been so surprised, right? Lily shook her head blankly, her expression dazed. We didn't kiss. Mia's mouth was half open. She was stunned for a long time. Why didn't you kiss? You practically threw yourself at him. How could he resist? She became more and more disbelieving as she spoke. If it had been her, she would have kissed him. A girl this beautiful, this cute, throwing herself at you for kisses and hugs. Is he even human if he can resist that? Lily lowered her head deeply. Maybe he didn't understand what I meant. Mia tapped her stylus on her digital tablet, making a tapping sound. The more she thought about it, the more she felt that Leo shouldn't be that dense. She changed the subject. Did you not say what I told you to say? No. Lily was like a child who had made a mistake, not daring to meet the eyes of this theoretical mentor. I was too shy to say it. Mia sighed with a mix of frustration and disappointment. Then wasn't your mental preparation all for nothing? Lily, you're a mature girl now. You have to learn to tempt him to kiss you, Judong. You have to learn this to capture a man's heart, understand? We girls also have to be proactive. We can't just let the boys do all the work. But at the same time, we have to be reserved. For example, you can let him hug you without any resistance, but you have to say no with your mouth, you know? Lily nodded in understanding, not at all doubting the professionalism of the theoretical mentor in front of her. Even though the other person had never been in a relationship, and her dating experience all came from anime and gal games and adult films, Leo, who was discussing things with Jake, saw Mia slacking off in public and couldn't help but ask with a smile, is the settlement interface done yet? Mia was not happy. I'm doing something more important than work. You should be glad I didn't ask you to treat me to dinner. If it weren't for so many people around, she would have definitely said something like, you'll be kowtowing to me sooner or later. Leo tilted his head and looked at her, then didn't say anything more. After all, this person's train of thought was not the same as a normal person's. So he turned his head and continued to chat with Jake. This game should make some money, right? His expectations for his first attempt were not too high. As long as he didn't lose money, anything more was a bonus. Everything is hard at the beginning. As long as things can stabilize, he will eventually become more and more skilled. From the feedback on the demo, it should be quite optimistic, Jake replied. Leo was usually only responsible for setting the direction. Jake was the one who did everything else. That's why I keep saying that your idea to participate in the competition first was really brilliant. At least it shows that the creativity of our game is up to par. Leo nodded after hearing this. Then we won't give them a performance bonus for the first month. I'll use some of the money for emergencies, and then I'll make it up to them later. If it were a less conscientious boss, they wouldn't even think about giving this, Jake said with a wicked smile, then finally reacted. What kind of emergency? Anyway, I have to make sure I can take out $10,000 at any time in the next few years. That's simple. Jake didn't ask any more questions. I'll start taking a cut after you've saved up 10,000. Leo quietly looked at the faint smile on Jake's face and felt that everyone was giving him a reason to work hard. It made him feel that if he didn't work hard, he would be letting them down. As he was thinking this, Jake suddenly said with emotion, we won't be able to live in our dorms soon. Are they really going to make room for the freshmen? Leo asked. It was a little hard to get used to the idea of not being able to live in the dorms anymore. Yes, it's like this every year. Jake shrugged helplessly. This is what it's like to be a senior. No dad to love you, no mom to care for you, and you have to go out and be beaten up by life. Leo rested his chin on his hand and looked at the sunset outside the window, feeling a little down. Well, this is it. University life is really over. The naive me who had just walked into the campus gate would never have imagined this life now, would never have imagined that the me who loved to slack off so much would now be working so hard, and would never have imagined that I would be with such a cute, naive girl. This is life. You never know what's waiting for you in the distance. After all the people who had finished their exams had arrived, Leo gathered them together and had a meeting to arrange the work plan for the summer vacation. When everything was settled and most of the people in the studio had left, when he returned to the office, he saw Lily lying quietly and obediently on his desk, already asleep. Perhaps because she was too tired from studying and working every day, this naive girl would always fall asleep at the drop of a hat. Leo smiled and turned up the air conditioning a little, then quietly closed the door. After thinking quietly for a while, he slowly dialed a number. Leo, why did you think of calling me? Harry Zheng asked curiously. He had moved out a long time ago and didn't have much contact with Leo. Leo found an excuse. Still preparing for the grad school exam? Yes, I don't have your ability. Come on, what ability? I'm only better than you at games. At least I don't go 0 to 8 with Yasuo. The other end of the line immediately became anxious. Damn, you guys will remember that one game for the rest of your lives, won't you? Just say what you want to say. Leo didn't beat around the bush and started to talk seriously. Where did you rent a place before? I'm thinking of renting a place near the university after I'm done with this. It's too much trouble to go back and forth from my house to the studio. He had just taken a quick count and was surprised to find that quite a few people in the studio were not going home for the summer vacation. Jake was right. Some people do have dreams. Not to mention that at this age, people who haven't been beaten up by life are more likely to have dreams and be willing to work hard for them. He was so moved that he immediately gave everyone who was staying for the summer an extra $1,000 in salary. After all, if the game could be launched a little earlier and catch the peak traffic of the summer vacation, the extra money they could make would be more than just a few thousand. Since nearly half of the people in the studio were not going back for the summer vacation, it wasn't good for him not to show his face every day. Mia and Ethan were not juniors, so they could easily apply to stay at the university for the summer vacation. But there was no need for Leo to do so anymore. Harry didn't think much of it and took on the task. I'll help you contact them. You've helped me so much. What kind of place are you looking for? A one-bedroom apartment. Leo looked at Lily, who was sleeping on the desk, and sighed softly. A two-bedroom apartment. It was certainly too early to live together now. He was just doing it so that this naive girl would have a place to sleep at noon after school started. So she wouldn't have to sleep with him in the school pavilion every day. The weather would eventually get cooler, and it would be easy to catch a cold then. There was no way things would get out of hand. After all, he had been able to hold back until now without forcing a kiss on this naive girl. When you really love someone, of course you have desires, but in this kind of thing, you're more willing for it to be mutual, to happen naturally. Anyway, this naive girl would be all his sooner or later. There was no need to rush anything. All right. Harry didn't ask any more questions and hung up the phone directly. Leo listened to the sound of the phone hanging up, and the corners of his lips curled up unconsciously. Although they had different personalities, these good-for-nothing sons of his were actually very good to him. They're really good sons. It's a pity they're about to graduate. After Lily had slept enough, Leo suddenly had the idea to take this naive girl for a walk around the campus. The two of them, like other couples at the university, walked a lap around the track and then went to other places. The sky outside had already completely darkened. The evening breeze was gentle, blowing away a lot of the summer heat and making the night much cooler. Leo and Lily held hands, and he asked softly, "Do you have any plans for the summer vacation?" "Part-time jobs," the girl replied immediately, continuing to blurt it out without any thought. "Find a chance to go to the amusement park with me. We agreed on it before." "Okay." Lily nodded gently. In fact, she was also looking forward to it. She had never been to an amusement park before. She had only been to the movies with Leo recently. After spending a long time with Leo, the girlish heart that had been deeply buried in her was slowly being revealed. She was a girl after all. If it weren't for the pressures of life, how could she be allergic to romance? Not to mention that she liked Leo so much. "It's really in the blink of an eye that we have to step into society," Leo suddenly said with emotion. The girl looked at him curiously. "Are you still very lost?" "I was a little before, but I'm much better now," Leo said honestly. At this moment, two girls in black stockings walked over from the opposite direction. Leo frowned at the sight and complained to himself, "Is this really a good idea in the summer? Aren't they hot?" Lily gently linked her arm through his. "I told you before, I'll always be with you." "It's just, what's wrong?" Leo asked. "It's just, can you not look at other girls?" the girl said in a small voice with her head down, a little embarrassed. Leo quickly cleared his throat after hearing this. I didn't. He felt he was really wronged. He was just complaining to himself. Just as he was still thinking about how to argue, he suddenly heard the girl's delicate voice. "If you like that kind of stocking, I can also wear them just for you." Chapter 112. Leo turned his head in surprise and saw the girl hiding her face in his shoulder, not daring to look at him. "Are you for real?" he asked, very shocked. "Is there such a good thing?" Lily's legs were so beautiful. He didn't even dare to imagine her in black or white stockings. Wait a minute. Leo suddenly realized that something was wrong. I really didn't deliberately look at those two girls. How could I not notice someone walking towards me in my peripheral vision? I wasn't looking, he quickly denied again. Lily looked up at him, then continued to hide her face. Who knows what this naive girl was thinking? She felt awkward looking at Leo, but she didn't feel awkward burying her face in his body. "You're a pervert," the girl mumbled in a small voice. "How am I?" Leo felt wronged. He was the one being taken advantage of right now. Lily bit Leo's arm with very little force. "The smile on your face hasn't left." Only then did Leo realize that he had been smiling wickedly the whole time. He quickly cleared his throat and said stubbornly, "Then I'm only a pervert to you." This trick worked especially well on this naive girl. Certified by experts. Sure enough, Lily continued to look at him, her beautiful eyes revealing a clear stupidity. "Oh, really?" "Of course," Leo said with a solemn expression. Anyone who didn't know better would think he was saying something noble and righteous. "But are you serious?" he asked again. Lily was so embarrassed she didn't speak. This person is so bad. Does he have to hear me say with my own mouth that I will definitely wear them for him to be satisfied? No way, it's too embarrassing. Why yes. A few seconds later, the girl finally couldn't bear to leave her boyfriend hanging and obediently answered his question. The faint smile on Leo's face immediately came back. He joked. I feel like you're always making empty promises, Miss Liang. The two of them hadn't even kissed yet, and they were already talking about this. I'm not. Lily pursed her lips. I'm trying hard. It's okay. I like eating empty promises. Leo smiled and tightened his grip a little. It doesn't matter when. As long as I get it, that's all that matters. Lily hummed softly. She felt that Leo was also very good to her in this aspect. Although he would occasionally take advantage of her verbally, he never did anything she didn't want him to do. Ever since she had been so scared that she couldn't stop breathing, Leo had never made her scared again. Thinking about it, she leaned her entire body against Leo. Anyway, Leo would definitely hold her steady. Lily only felt that she had persisted for so many years just to meet him. Oh no, to meet him again. The next day, Leo was lying on his bed in his bedroom, lazily looking at the blue sky outside the window. Although it was summer vacation, and he would soon be unable to live at the university, and he was about to leave his student status behind, he still didn't have a real sense of it. This had to do with his habit of planning everything in advance. He was so well prepared that when the time came, he didn't feel anything. After all, he had been working on this studio for a while now. Just as Leo was calculating whether he should go back to the university to pack his things, Chloe suddenly pushed the door open. The door was pushed open with a bang. Anyone who didn't know better would think she had worked for the FBI. Leo was so startled he sat up straight and looked at her speechlessly. Are you crazy? Chloe hadn't had time to tie her hair into a ponytail. She was holding a bunch of fishing gear, and a bag of fish bait was dangling from her mouth. She said with a lisp, Brother, let's go fishing. Do you know you'll be a senior after the summer vacation? Don't you have final exams in a few days? Chloe spit out the bag like a sunflower seed, her expression full of disdain. Why didn't you say this when you were a sophomore and stayed up all night playing games behind mom's back? Forgot who kept watch for you every night? Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to have at it every day. Before she could finish, Leo had already put on his t-shirt and was even helping her with the things in her hands. Let's go fishing. You got it. The siblings came to the living room and saw Marcus sitting on the sofa watching TV. Who knows why he was watching The Legend of the Condor Heroes again? Leo remembered that Marcus was watching this TV series when he was a child. Now he could even bring other girls home, and Marcus was still watching it. Leo could still sing the theme song to this day. He didn't know why his dad never got tired of watching it. Maybe there were times when he did get tired of it. After he got tired of it, Marcus would watch Drawing Sword and Parents' Love. Dad, where's Mom? Leo asked. There was no food in the house at 8 in the morning, which meant Sophie was definitely not at home. Marcus yawned and said calmly, She went on a trip. Chloe blinked in a daze. Why didn't you go? Her company organized it. Why would I go along? Marcus replied with a blank expression. Is it because you made Mom angry and she went with her colleagues in a fit of anger? Chloe couldn't help but laugh as she spoke, and in the end, she couldn't close her mouth. We've been professionally trained. We usually don't laugh unless we can't help it. JPG, don't talk nonsense. Leo shook the fishing rod in his hand. Want to go fishing with us? You two go have fun. I'll go to the community entrance to play a few games of chess later. Okay. After a while, I feel so sorry for Dad being at home alone, Chloe said, sitting in the passenger seat and stretching lazily. Leo glanced at her and said speechlessly, You don't know what they're like when they fight? It's just another way of showing off their affection. Hearing this, Chloe didn't say anything else. Seeing that Leo was staring at his phone, she asked impatiently, Why aren't we going? Leo smacked his lips and continued to send messages to Lily. I'm asking your sister-in-law if she wants to go fishing. When Lily didn't have a part-time job, she would definitely come out if Leo asked her, so she immediately agreed. After thinking for a while, Leo decided to invite Mia, who was staying in Hangzhou for the summer vacation, as well. Otherwise, it would be a little pitiful for her to be alone in this city with no relatives and to be exploited by a ruthless boss. Oh, the ruthless boss is me. Never mind then. It's just that with Mia and Chloe together. Leo suddenly had a headache. He couldn't even imagine what would happen when two top-tier social butterflies got together. Why aren't we going yet? Seeing that her brother had put down his phone and still wasn't driving, Chloe couldn't help but urge him again. You go to the back, Leo said in a low voice. Chloe suddenly turned her head, her long ponytail swinging with it. Why? Leo's lips curled up. Because now we're going to pick up your sister-in-law. I'm your real sister. She's my future wife. I've been following you around and calling you brother for so many years. Don't you have a conscience? She's going to call me husband in the future. Chloe was speechless. At least when her sister-in-law wasn't around, she was still her brother's little princess. She comforted herself in her heart and obediently opened the car door and sat in the back. What kind of world is this? Is there no way for single people to live? Chapter 113. Sure enough, when they picked up Lily, this naive girl, knowing that Chloe would be there, instinctively stood by the passenger door for a moment. After she came to her senses, she opened the backseat door. Seeing Chloe, she tilted her head with a little confusion. At this moment, Leo said slowly, Come to the passenger seat. I saved it for you. Oh, Lily was stunned for a moment, then obediently sat in the passenger seat. I thought Chloe would be sitting here. As long as you're here, This is your exclusive seat, Leo said softly, one hand on the steering wheel, the other hand putting down the sun visor in front of the girl. Lily kept her head down, too shy to respond. She quickly suppressed the little bit of pride that was inexplicably rising in her heart. Leo turned his head to look at the girl. By the way, did you ask Mia? He hadn't sent a message to Mia alone, but had told Lily this as a suggestion. No matter if this naive girl would be jealous or not, he had to eliminate this possibility. Secondly, it was better to give this favor to Lily as a he didn't need it. I did. She seemed very touched, Lily said, recalling Mia's excited voice on the phone and responding softly. Leo nodded slightly. Then let's go pick her up. Chloe poked her head between the two of them, asking like a curious baby, who is that? Is it my sister-in-law's best friend? Yes, you and she should get along very well. It was clear that Lily had now completely given up on trying to stop Chloe from calling her sister-in-law, because it was completely useless. These two siblings were both the same. She couldn't handle them at all. There's such a thing? Chloe found it strange. Leo sighed, a little regretful that he hadn't brought a pair of earplugs. Yes, you'll know in a minute. Mia had applied to stay at the university and was still living in her dorm. Leo made a turn and drove towards the university. Half an hour later, the car stopped near the school gate. Mia, having heard that they were going fishing, had specially worn a t-shirt and denim shorts and a baseball cap. She was very neat and proactively sat in the back seat. My parents almost came to Hangzhou to find me. This is the only bad thing about being an only child, Mia complained as soon as she sat down. I spent all last night convincing them. She had only just finished when she realized there was someone sitting next to her. She was startled and stared at Chloe in a daze. Leo saw this in the rearview mirror and couldn't help but laugh. This is my sister. She'll be a senior after the summer vacation. Oh my god, Mia sighed to herself. She now just felt that Leo's family had really good genes. This little girl is so beautiful. Hello, sister. My name is Chloe. My sister-in-law just showed me the pictures you drew. You're so amazing, Chloe said with a big smile, leaning closer to Mia and even proactively opening her WeChat QR code. She was so enthusiastic. Hello. Mia's brain clearly hadn't caught up yet. My name is Mia. Your name is so pretty, Chloe said with a smile, then lightly tapped the screen and secretly said a nickname for Mia. Sister Six Waters. Leo's lips curled up, and he sighed softly. The ancients said that there is no first in literature and no second in martial arts. Now it seems that social anxiety is the same. When two social terrorists get together, there must be the most socially anxious one. Now it seems that his own sister has one, but he, as the older brother, is not happy at all. After chatting with Chloe for a few sentences, Mia said to Leo, I suddenly got some inspiration last night and changed the style of the settlement interface. Take a look later. No problem. Leo was a little surprised. Why are you so dedicated? Didn't I tell you to rest for a few days first? Because I like this environment, Mia said, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. I was originally afraid of being bullied at work in the future. If I can work here all the time in the future, it would be pretty good. So I have to work hard so that your studio doesn't go bankrupt. That's right, that's right. Anyway, we're all being exploited by the boss. It might as well be me and Lily, Leo said with a smile. Lily looked at him in a daze, thinking to herself, what does this have to do with me? Mia snorted. If you're too much of a jerk, I'll let Lily beat you up. Right, Lily? Hearing this, Lily fidgeted with her fingers for a long time and said in a small voice, I'll say a few words to him. You traitor who forgets your friends for a man. Mia bit her lip, a mix of anger and amusement on her face, and simply slumped in her chair. At this moment, Chloe handed her the potato chips in her hand and shrugged. Love makes people stupid. They're both stupid. Just bear with them. That's right. Mia grabbed a handful of potato chips, stuffed them in her mouth, and chewed forcefully. At this moment, she and Chloe had formed some kind of revolutionary friendship. The little girl is beautiful and praised her drawing skills as soon as they met. Who wouldn't like her? This soon passed. Leo drove seriously, listening to the three girls laughing and talking all the way. Lily was often at a loss for how to answer Mia and Chloe's teasing and would from time to time cast a pleading look at Leo. So pitiful, so cute. Sister Mia, you have so many cosplay photos. Chloe soon got close to Mia and stared at her phone in a daze. When I graduate, I'll try it too. For example, Amaya, and Liv is also pretty good. Chloe puffed out her cheeks as she spoke. But I'd only wear it at home at most. I'm too shy to wear it out. Mia said in the tone of an experienced person. It's okay. Everyone is nervous the first time. It gets more and more fun later. Your makeup is also so good. Even with light makeup, you're still so beautiful. I don't even know how to do makeup. Chloe, also an old otaku, was completely impressed. I can't help it. I was forced by reality. If I were as beautiful as Lily, I wouldn't wear makeup at all. Actually, Sister Lily is not suitable for cosplay. I think she's suitable for traditional clothing. As soon as these words were said, the two of them were stunned for a moment. Then they both turned their gaze to Lily. To be honest, it was true. The female protagonists in those historical dramas were not as beautiful as her. They were always a little too glamorous, without Lily's pure temperament. I won't wear it. Lily said in a small, fearful voice. It was okay to wear it for Leo alone, but to wear it out, she would rather die? How did you two get on the same side so quickly? Leo was a little speechless. He felt that the two of them were just short of becoming sworn sisters. After arriving at the reservoir, the group began to set up their things in a grand manner. There was one fishing rod for each person. As for the seats, Leo had borrowed 2 stools from Grandpa Zhao at the gate when he left, which was just right. Because Chloe had specially checked the weather before coming to fish, it wasn't very hot today. It was even a little cool by the reservoir. Although it might be a different story at noon. The weather in Hangzhou is like that. You have to accept it. Just as Leo was staring at the vast lake in a daze, he suddenly felt a coolness on his arm. He turned his head and saw that it was Lily applying insect repellent on him. The girl stubbornly insisted on applying it for him, and only then did she obediently sit down. I'll help you with the bait, Leo said, squatting beside the girl and carefully putting bait on her hook. Chloe leaned over with a wicked smile. Brother, you're not going to catch a single fish in front of your girlfriend, are you? After all, fishing is all about luck. It's common to go home empty-handed. Otherwise, why would those people fish for half a day and still have to go to the seafood market to buy a fish? Don't jinx it, Leo rolled his eyes at her. If I don't catch a fish, I'll drain the water here. An hour later, Leo saw the few fish beside Chloe and Mia and felt like he could die. Even Lily had just caught one. Then he looked at the water bucket beside him. I'm tired. Let the world burn. Why? Is there really a novice protection period for this thing? Then why did Chloe catch one? Leo looked at the calm water, getting angrier and angrier. A bunch of horny fish, only biting the girl's hooks. Brother, Chloe called from a distance. Good luck. Shut up. Leo was even sadder. He turned his head and continued to look at his motionless float. Lily gently poked him. Do you want to eat a piece of candy? She knew that ever since she had been hospitalized for low blood sugar, Leo always carried a few pieces of fruit candy with him. There were no exceptions. Okay. Leo washed his hands with mineral water and held the candy in his hand. Before he could hand it over, the girl opened her mouth and took both the candy and his fingertips. A few seconds later, the girl slowly moved away. A breeze blew, and Leo only felt that the slightly damp spot on his finger was very cool. It's okay if there are no fish, Lily said, showing a very sweet smile. You caught me. Leo was stunned for a moment, then kissed the girl's forehead and said with a smile, then I'm taking you home. Lily had already turned her face away, too shy to look at him again. Not yet. Sooner or later, Leo said, staring at his fishing rod, reaching out one hand to intertwine his fingers with the girl's. Now that I've caught you from the river, you'd better be prepared. You're not getting away from me for the rest of your life. With such a good girlfriend, who needs to fish? I'll trick you into being my wife sooner or later. Lily blinked her eyes in a daze. I'm not stupid, I'm not going to run. Sister Mia, hurry up and get it. I'm running out of strength. I'm trying. Why is this stupid fish thrashing around so much? Wait, what did you call me? Don't push me, just get the fish. I can't pull it up. Humph. Let's see if you dare to talk nonsense again. Oh my god, it's too far, I can't reach it. Hearing Mia and Chloe's playful shouts in the distance, Leo asked softly, is fishing fun? It's fun, Lily nodded vigorously. Even though she had only caught one fish, she was still incredibly happy. Whether it was going out to play with Leo or the feeling of being together in a group, these were things she had never even dared to dream of before. Compared to these, whether she caught a fish or not was no longer important. As the girl thought about it, a happy smile unconsciously appeared on her lips. She said to Leo, do I know how to smile now? Of course, and it's beautiful. Leo looked very proud. Your boyfriend is doing a pretty good job, right? He could still clearly remember the first time he saw Lily smile at the hospital. Before, Leo always felt that the human brain's memory was no match for a photo, but now he didn't think so. He still remembered that moment very clearly. He could even recall the experience of time seeming to stand still and his heart skipping a beat. A photo was simply not enough to capture the stunning beauty of Lily at that moment. Mom. Lily rested her head on Leo's shoulder, closed her eyes with a smile, and felt the gentle breeze. She really wished that time would slow down. If only things could stay like this forever, she really hoped that Leo would always like her. If I can catch a fish every day, will I save a lot of money? After a while, the girl asked with a not-so-smart voice. Leo was so taken aback by the question that his mouth hung open for a moment. He was at a loss for words for a moment. Then he slowly said, have you ever considered that if you spend the time you fish working, the money you earn could buy you more fish? Only then did the girl realize how stupid her question was. She quickly pursed her lips and said no more. Leo smiled and poked her on the forehead. Whose girlfriend is so good at managing money? Lily snorted softly and continued to close her eyes. It was almost noon now. The sun was climbing higher and higher, and it was getting a little hot. Did you not put on sunscreen? Leo asked. He felt that this naive girl probably didn't have any. She would never be willing to buy such a thing. I was careless. I forgot about this. I didn't buy it for her in advance. No, the girl said, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Be careful not to get tanned. I always feel that girls get tanned more easily. Will you still like me if I get tanned? Of course. Your personality alone is enough to make me obsessed with you. Lily smiled shyly and could only scold him softly. You have no shame. This Leo always says the nicest things. She could see it now. Leo is very greedy. She already liked him so much, but it wasn't enough. This person needed her to like him to the point of no return. Unfortunately, Leo didn't know that she already liked him to the point of no return. And you're so beautiful. I really dream every day about how to marry you. Just fish. The girl didn't dare to listen anymore. Her heart was beating so fast. She was afraid that Leo would hear it. If Leo kept talking, she was really afraid that she wouldn't be able to stop herself from marrying him right now. No, there are still a lot of things to do at home, and she's not even old enough yet. There's something wrong with the fish here. They only bite the girl's hooks, Leo said with a resentful expression. Suddenly, he remembered something and closed his eyes, mumbling in a small voice. I'm willing to trade 10 years of Jake's life for me to catch a fish. And for him to always get the pity pulling gotcha games. It wasn't that he was being mean. Before, Jake had shouted in front of him in the dorm that he would trade 10 years of his life to pull a character. And the next second, he actually got it. A single pull. It was Jake's luckiest time. It left Leo with a serious psychological scar. About 2 minutes later, Leo's float finally moved. He excitedly stood up and pulled up hard. The fish in this reservoir were quite strong and struggled in the water for a while. But Leo soon found that the size of this fish exceeded his expectations. Just by its strength, it was the biggest one he had ever encountered. Lily, hurry up and get it, he shouted excitedly. Okay. Lily had never done this before. She clumsily picked up the net and stood by the water, reaching out to get it. The fish she had caught herself had been brought in by Leo. When it was her turn, she was a little clumsy. Unfortunately, the fish seemed to be able to sense it and kept moving away, staying far away. Generally speaking, experienced fishermen wouldn't fight with this kind of fish. They would from time to time reel in the line, waiting for the fish to tire itself out, and then suddenly pull it up. Leo knew this, but after seeing this fish keep moving, he couldn't help but get into a fight with it, pulling harder and harder. Lily didn't know that although Leo looked like he was struggling and anxious, he was actually having a great time. Seeing his hard work, she became even more anxious. She stood at the edge of the water, unable to go any further. After a while, the fish finally stopped struggling so much. The splashes it made were also much smaller, and it was pulled closer by Leo. Only then did Lily find the right opportunity to net it. She bit her lip and pulled it over hard. Who knows if it was because it was tired, or if the fish in this reservoir were really all horny. After being netted by Lily, it only thrashed twice, and then became much more well-behaved. Only when it was close did they see how big this fish really was. It was almost the size of the one sold at the market. Leo's lips were about to curl up to the heavens. He quickly shouted, hurry up and put it in the bucket. He would have to brag about a fish this big for at least a year. Even getting a pentakill wasn't this satisfying. He was sure that his own father had never caught a fish this big in all his years of fishing. Lily nodded, then wanted to put the fish in the bucket. Because she had been holding the end of the net, it had taken a lot of effort. And then, just as she put the fish in the bucket, the fish that had become well-behaved suddenly started to struggle again, scaring her so much that she unconsciously took 2 steps back. And then she missed her footing. She blinked her eyes without saying a word, not even realizing that she should have screamed. Splash. The water that had just become calm suddenly splashed up in a big wave. Lily, who was thinking that she couldn't swim, suddenly fell onto the land, a little dazed. She felt a little pain in her wrist. It seemed she was about to fall, and then she was pulled over. Only then did the girl realize what had just happened. She quickly got up and walked to the shore. Leo, she shouted. This was the loudest sound she had ever made, her voice usually so soft. At this moment, a figure suddenly emerged from the water. After seeing that it was Leo, she finally relaxed a little and her eyes became teary. She picked up the net beside her and handed it to Leo, afraid that he would have nothing to grab. It's okay, I can swim. I slipped when I was pulling you just now. Leo pushed away his soaked hair, revealing his eyes. He looked at the dazed girl with a smile. Are you okay? Did you get scared? He had rushed up the moment he saw the girl slip. He just didn't expect to have grabbed her, only to slip himself and be thrown out by the inertia, swapping places with the naive girl. In this situation, it's usually impossible to react. Leo was able to do it only because his attention had been on Lily the whole time. Unfortunately, because of the height difference, he hadn't noticed that this naive girl had been standing so close to the edge. Lily shook her head and reached out to pull Leo up. She held Leo's hand and looked here and there, checking him over and over again as if she were afraid he had been bitten by a piranha. She was worried to death. Leo, on the other hand, was acting as if nothing had happened. He was smiling as he looked at the fish he had just caught. He didn't care about his soaked clothes and the water that was constantly dripping from him. Are you okay? Mia and Chloe ran over, panting, and asked. I'm fine, Leo said, holding the bucket in front of him. How did you know I caught a big fish? Lily and Leo were both stunned when they saw Chloe. Chloe was also soaked. She simply took off her hair tie and let her hair fall loose, dripping wet. Why are these two siblings both like drowned rats? Mia seemed to have seen what Lily was thinking and said with a sigh of relief, "She jumped into the water as soon as she saw you were about to fall. When she saw it was her brother who fell in, she came back to the shore." As she spoke, her smile became a little bitter. "I'm going to learn to swim this summer." She never wanted to experience that feeling of being anxious again in her life. Chloe also acted as if nothing had happened and ran to Leo. The two of them, both dripping wet, huddled together and looked at the bucket. The water from their hair kept dripping into the bucket, scaring the big fish into struggling again. They both had big smiles on their faces. "This is so big. You should take a picture." "I'll take one now. I'll post it on my feed and the fishing forum later." "Should we buy a fish tank? In the future, when people come to our house, we can say we caught it." "Are you crazy? Of course we're going to eat it. This fish isn't even pretty." Lily blinked her eyes and looked at Leo and Chloe, then at Mia, who had a strangely guilty expression on her face. Her nose kept tingling. She felt that she didn't need anyone else to care about her. She was the happiest person in the world right now. Leo looked up at the sun and said softly, "Let's call it a day. I'll go home and take a shower. Then we'll cook the fish." "Yay," Chloe said, looking at the big fish, getting more and more excited. Of course, a fish bought at the market can't compare to one caught by hand. "Crybaby, let's go." Leo gently took the girl's hand. "You cook, okay?" Lily sniffled, linked her arm through Leo's wet one, and smiled at him. "Okay." The group casually bought a few towels to wipe themselves off, then prepared to drive back. Mia was too embarrassed to go to Leo's house with them. She took a bucket and a fish and went back to the university. The three of them had just reached the community entrance when they saw Grandpa Zhao sitting under the shade of a tree, fanning himself. "Leo, you're back?" Leo smiled and nodded, putting the bucket in front of him. "How did you know I caught such a big fish?" Grandpa Zhao was startled. He looked up at him in shock and asked in a low voice, "Where did you catch it? You didn't buy it at the market, did you?" "At the Tea Grass Bay Reservoir. Come with me sometime." Grandpa Zhao became more and more excited. He suddenly felt that playing chess was so boring. "All right, I'm going home now. I have to show off to my dad." Grandpa Zhao looked at the three of them's backs and at Leo and Lily's hands, which had unconsciously intertwined, and smiled. His eyes narrowed. "It's good to be young. Old woman, why did you have to leave so early? The Leo you doted on so much has found a partner. She's so pretty, but you can't see her." Marcus, who was thinking about what to order for takeout, was so scared when he saw his son and daughter's sorry state that he sat up from the sofa and quickly asked, "Didn't you go fishing? Did the fish pull you into the water?" Leo put the bucket on the ground and said with a blank expression, "No, Chloe pushed me into the water. My brother pushed me first." While the two were bickering, Lily said in a small, embarrassed voice, "Hello, Uncle." "That's right. You should come to my house to play more often," Marcus said with a smile and a nod. "Let me take you out to eat." "What do you want to eat?" As the head of the family, he couldn't possibly say that he couldn't cook, right? It would be even more inappropriate for his future daughter-in-law to cook for the whole family. Marcus thought to himself and decided to reluctantly use his own private funds. "No need. Your daughter-in-law will cook fish for you," Leo said calmly. Lily tensed up when she heard this and secretly glanced at him with both anxiety and anger. Leo cleared his throat and gently kicked the bucket. The fish inside immediately started to thrash around. "Look at the fish." Marcus walked over with a curious expression, then froze on the spot. "You bought it, right?" "I caught it." "You bought it." "I really caught it." "They can both testify," Leo shrugged. "I don't believe you." "Did you buy it?" "Don't talk nonsense." Marcus looked at Leo and Chloe's shriveled clothes and thought that they might have really gone into the water to catch fish. These two troublemakers were capable of it. He then poked his head out to look at the big fish. TSK. He was actually a little envious. 10 minutes later, Leo, who had just finished his shower, ran to the kitchen and saw Lily cooking there. She had her hair up in a bun, revealing her smooth and beautiful neck. She was seriously chopping vegetables, making a tapping sound. Her back was slender and cute, making people want to hug her from behind. When Leo first saw it, he had fantasized about it a little. This time, he could openly hug her from behind. The girl was startled and trembled a little in his arms, but she didn't resist. Instead, she rubbed against him like a cat. "When did you learn to swim?" she asked softly. Leo thought for a moment and said, "I learned in elementary school. I learned to swim because I fell into the water when I was little. Luckily, your boyfriend is smart." He held his breath and didn't move, and he actually floated up. He was too embarrassed to say that he had almost drowned in a swimming pool when he was little. Marcus had gone to the restroom, and he had gone to the deep end. When he saw him, he quickly pulled him up. When he got home, he got a good beating from Sophie. Leo always felt that there was something wrong with the design of that swimming pool. He had always been able to touch the bottom. Who would have thought that there would be a slope as he walked? The moment he missed his footing, his feet couldn't touch the bottom. Leo buried his face in the girl's neck and smelled the faint, fresh scent. "You're chopping so fast. Aren't you afraid of cutting your hand?" Lily held her hand up in front of Leo's eyes and bent her fingertips. "If you hold it against your knuckles, it's impossible to cut your finger." "I'm done for. I think I'm a fool," Leo said, his eyes unblinking. He knew how to cook, but he really didn't know this. He still had too little experience. He picked up a piece of cucumber that had been cut and put it directly into his mouth. Can you teach me how to cook sometime? Your cooking is so delicious. The girl turned around, tilted her head, and looked at him. You don't have to learn. I can cook for you for the rest of your life. In early July, the sun was scorching, and it was getting to be the hottest time of the year. The streets were filled with heat waves, and there were fewer pedestrians than usual. Leo was sitting in his office, studying the completeness of the new version. It was almost time to verify how much money this game could actually make, and everyone in the studio was on high alert. The door was suddenly knocked twice. Come in, Leo said softly. Mia closed the door gently and sat down in front of Leo with a deathly pale face. What's the matter? He asked curiously. The art team's work was almost done, so there shouldn't be any problems. Mia cleared her throat and asked in a small voice, So, I have a friend who transferred 500 yuan to the first emperor of Qin, and then he was blocked. Can he get the money back? Leo made a disgusted face as if he had just eaten a lemon. What nonsense are you talking about? The first emperor of Qin died thousands of years ago. Oh, right, that wasn't the first emperor of Qin, that was a scammer. Mia quickly changed her story. So, my friend's money is gone, right? It's not even enough to file a case. Give up. Seeing Mia sigh deeply for her friend, he said again, There's another way. What way? Mia looked at him with shining eyes. Leo smiled wickedly. You transfer another 2,500 to that scammer. If you have enough to make up 3,000, you can file a case. Mia could see that Leo was joking, and she slumped in her chair. A whole 648 yuan gone. How did you know? How did your friend get scammed? He said he was the reincarnation of the first emperor of Qin, and he made it sound so real. Mia looked at the ceiling with lifeless eyes. I didn't believe it at first, but then he asked me if I believed him or if I believed in love. Leo put his index finger to his lips and shushed gently, then said seriously, Actually, I'm Emperor Wu of Han, really. Get lost. I'll just believe in love from now on, okay? Actually, strictly speaking, if you believe in love, you'll be scammed for more. A scumbag will not only scam you for money, but also for your body. At least the first emperor of Qin only scammed you for 500 yuan. Leo was laughing so hard he couldn't breathe. He clutched his stomach and lay on the table, his head a little dizzy, almost unable to catch his breath. Watching Mia slam the door and leave in a huff, Leo almost laughed until his stomach hurt again. He quickly tilted his head back to catch his breath. How dare you make a face at your boss? I'll find a chance to dock your pay. As soon as these words were said, Leo's phone rang. He glanced at the caller ID, Uncle Mo. Hello, Uncle Mo, Leo said softly, then quietly waited for the other person to speak. Mo Wenbin chuckled twice. Leo, you started your own company and didn't even tell me? I really watched you grow up for nothing. This is just for fun. The whole company has less than 20 people. It's okay. Everyone starts small. When you've developed a little more, I'll take you to a few dinners. It will be helpful for your company's future operations. You're really my uncle, Leo said with a smile. He knew that the other person wasn't just being polite. Mo Wenbin had always been good to him, but whether he would go or not was another matter. He didn't really want to use Mo Wenbin's connections to develop his own business, and he didn't need to for now. After chatting for a few sentences, Mo Wenbin suddenly asked, What's the matter between you and Celeste? Can you tell me? Leo paused. I've been wanting to tell you this in person, but I was afraid you wouldn't have time to see me. You want to talk in person? Mo Wenbin said thoughtfully. Do you have time now? I'll have my driver pick you up. We'll have dinner with your dad tonight. Leo looked at the report summarized by Ethan and was about to speak when Mo Wenbin's capable voice came through the receiver again. I'll talk to you later. I have a meeting. Okay, you go ahead and take care of business. If you want to have dinner with me, I'll definitely make time even if I don't have time. You can just call me when you're not busy tonight. Leo waited silently for the other person to hang up. After hearing the dial tone, he placed his phone flat on the desk. His index finger kept tapping on the desk, a thoughtful look on his face. Something feels a little off. What does Uncle Mo really want to say? Mo Wenbin, seeing the long-haired girl who had just pushed the door open, quickly hung up the phone, a look of embarrassment on his face. This kind of expression had almost never appeared on his face before. The reason he showed this expression this time was perhaps because while he was playing other roles, he was also a father. Celeste Mo bit her lip and asked in a low voice, Why did you call him? I just wanted to ask Leo, Mo Wenbin said with a little helplessness. You never told me why you suddenly wanted to go abroad, so I had to ask Leo. If he really wanted to find out, he definitely could, but it would take time. By then, his daughter would be gone. What's the point of knowing the truth then? Celeste replied softly and sat down on the sofa, her arms wrapped tightly around her knees. After a while, she finally said in a weak voice, I like him. Mo Wenbin was stunned for a moment. Perhaps it was because he hadn't communicated with his daughter for a long time that he kept losing his composure. When he heard the report that there was someone outside who said she was his daughter, he had almost choked. Then when he heard Celeste suddenly say that she was leaving soon, he had almost fallen out of his chair. He hadn't remarried all these years and only had Celeste as his daughter. Of course he had feelings for her. even though Celeste had always misunderstood that he was the one who had initiated the divorce and had refused to see him. You like Leo? Isn't that a good thing? Mo Wenbin walked up to her and said with a smile. You two grew up together, and I and your Uncle Chen were playing together when we were still in diapers. I watched Leo grow up. He's far more capable than his peers, and he's definitely very loyal. I don't know how many people will envy your love story. As he spoke, the smile on his face suddenly froze and then slowly faded, because his daughter's expression didn't seem right. He has a girlfriend, Celeste said, her chin resting on her arm. After a while, she buried her face deeply in her arms. After realizing that things were not as simple as a childish spat, Mo Wenbin became serious, and his demeanor returned to its usual calmness. When Celeste was in elementary school, she had also cried and complained about Leo playing with other girls. But this time it was different. The situation was very different. After all, they had both grown up. That shouldn't be right. Mo Wenbin frowned, feeling more and more strange. I think Leo has always liked you a lot. Celeste looked up again, 2 lines of clear tears unknowingly streaming down her delicate cheeks. But I once made him wait for me at a restaurant for 3 hours, and I would always ignore him. I never comforted him no matter how sad he looked. Later, I didn't even bother to reply to his messages. I would only chat with him when I wanted to find him. He's always been such a vengeful person, but he never talked back to me even when I yelled at him. Her tears flowed more and more. The moment she released her tightly bitten lips, she shouted, I made him chase me for 7 whole years. I tormented him until he had no confidence at all, until he couldn't even lift his head. How could he still like me? As if she were venting her dissatisfaction with herself, her voice was unusually loud, close to a roar, but also so powerless. Then Celeste mumbled again, he's been by my side since he was a child. It's been too long, and I've really gotten used to it. I got used to him being good to me, and I started to take it for granted. I always thought that maintaining the status quo was good enough. I was always afraid to take that step. I was just thinking that since Leo is already by my side, why take on new risks by being together? In case we end up like you two. She stopped halfway through. It was meaningless. It was all just an excuse. Mo Wenbin wanted to reach out and stroke his daughter's head, but his hand stopped halfway in the air. He quietly retracted it, and simply sat down next to Celeste, not too close. Can I hug you? Celeste asked in a small voice, her voice trembling with sobs. Mo Wenbin's heart shattered when he heard this. Every beat was a pang of pain. Silly girl, I'm your father, he said softly, letting Celeste rest her head on his shoulder. You've been fighting with me for so many years. You're such a silly girl. He didn't realize he had repeated the words, silly girl, twice. Perhaps in his heart, there was no other word more suitable for his daughter. Naive, arrogant, and stubborn. How could she be so silly? Celeste cried in Mo Wenbin's arms like a child, just like she had when she was little. Mo Wenbin's eyes reddened without him realizing it, and he felt as if time had suddenly gone back many years. As a parent, he didn't actually want his children to grow up, because growth inevitably meant losing something. People can't mature for no reason. The more childish a person is, the happier they usually are growing up. Not to mention that after they grow up, they will find that the world is still so imperfect. Mo Wenbin didn't know how to comfort her for a moment, so he just started talking about his own story. From meeting Celeste's mother as a child, to becoming closer step by step, to walking down the aisle, to him putting all his thoughts into his career, until finally, Celeste's mother filed for divorce. Because he felt guilty about being so focused on his career before, he didn't fight for Celeste's custody. It was also funny to say that the catalyst for Celeste's mother's divorce was because he had to go out for a meeting when Celeste had a high fever. But now, after the divorce, she had instead put all her thoughts into making money, and like him, she couldn't take care of her family. The two of them had completely understood each other's thoughts and difficulties at that time. But there was no going back. Regret is the most useless emotion. It only makes people torture themselves and can't change anything. To others, Dad may have everything. Actually, I have nothing. I now have the ability to give you and your mother the best life, but she's gone, and you're gone too. It's because when I was young, I didn't know what was most important. I wasn't as open-minded as your Uncle Chen. I should have listened to him back then. The father and daughter gradually talked more and more, and they finally understood each other a little. After a long while, Mo Wenbin felt that his mouth was a little dry, but he still from time to time mumbled that it was all his fault. He felt that if he had not only thought about giving his family a better life back then, and had realized that companionship was more important earlier, or if he had let Celeste go with him when they divorced, his own daughter might not have ended up in this situation. Dad, I want to try on a wedding dress, Celeste suddenly said. Mo Wenbin froze on the spot for a long time, not knowing whether to be happy that his daughter was finally calling him dad again, or to be shocked that she suddenly wanted to try on a wedding dress. Under his dazed gaze, Celeste smiled and wiped away her tears, laughing lightly. I won't have a chance to wear it in the future. The dream is over, and I should grow up too. Mo Wenbin understood Celeste's meaning after a few seconds. His mouth opened and closed, but in the end, he didn't say anything. He hadn't even resolved his own issues, so he was not qualified to advise his daughter to think things through. Dad will take you. After he finished, he turned his gaze to the window, tilted his head up slightly, and sighed to himself. Marcus, you really live life to the fullest. How can you be so clear about what you want most? Are you really determined? If you stay in the country, Dad can stay with you, Mo Winbin said, making a final attempt to keep her. This was the first time he had ever envied Marcus so much. Celeste shook her head gently. When we were little, we made a pinky promise that we would get married when we grew up, and then I would be a very good lawyer, the kind that would help poor people for free. Her lips curved up slightly, but her moving smile was full of bitterness. Since I broke my promise to get married, I have to do the other one well. In the afternoon, in a luxuriously decorated wedding dress shop, Chloe Lu looked at the wedding dresses with astronomical price tags and couldn't help but smack her lips. They could have just robbed them, but they were kind enough to send a wedding dress. Although they were all really beautiful, she took out a wet wipe and wiped the tear tracks from her cheeks, returning to her usual self, as if she didn't know that Celeste was going abroad tomorrow. Hello, your coffee, a salesperson said to Chloe. Chloe took it in shock and quietly placed it on a table to the side. She didn't dare to drink it, even if it was free. She thought that if she spilled it on the wedding dress later, it would be over. At this moment, Celeste, who had changed into a fishtail wedding dress, slowly walked over. She was all in white. The fishtail skirt and the cascading lace train made her long legs and figure even more moving. Holy, noble, beautiful beyond words. Chloe couldn't think of any other adjectives. Her attention was completely drawn away. So beautiful. It's just that she doesn't look happy enough. Celeste, you have to smile. If you don't smile, people will be able to tell at a glance that you're a fake bride. Is it beautiful? Celeste put the veil aside, turned around nimbly, and asked her. Chloe nodded. It's really beautiful. Celeste forced a smile and walked up to Chloe with the veil in her arms. Come on, bridesmaid, help me put it on. Chloe's tears immediately couldn't be held back. She knew that with this fake bride, she couldn't be a real bridesmaid either. She shouted. So why were you so willful back then? Wouldn't it have been better if you had woken up earlier? You were supposed to win. Leo doesn't owe you anything. Why couldn't you have reacted? Her sudden shout echoed in the spacious hall, as if she were complaining about Celeste's childishness at that time, and as if she were venting her dissatisfaction with her leaving on her own. Celeste tilted her head up, and the white veil on her head also swayed. She came back to her senses, sniffled, and looked at her with curved eyes. So I really regret it. Chloe didn't speak anymore. She now just wanted to sigh that it's really a difficult thing for people to know how to cherish before they lose. Unfortunately, time is always one way. Some things can be made up for after you realize them, some can't. She asked herself why many times in her heart. Why are people so childish sometimes? Why can't they learn to cherish earlier? Why didn't I persuade her more seriously back then? Why didn't I threaten her with ending our friendship? Why didn't I persuade Leo to ignore her for a few months? Unfortunately, she didn't know the answer to any of these questions. Only by cherishing will you not miss or lose. Only after you lose will you learn to cherish. Fine, a closed loop. Celeste smiled and cried. The two of them looked at each other, crying. After a long while, Celeste took Chloe to a salesperson. I want to buy it. Then she took out a bank card from her bag. Use this one. All right. The salesperson bowed slightly. Your husband will be very touched. Celeste smiled at her and didn't speak. At this moment, after experiencing the feeling of buying a wedding dress, her self-entertaining beautiful dream was completely over. This thing could only be thrown away after she bought it. You should wear one too. Let me see how you look in a wedding dress, Celeste said, pretending to be suddenly interested, turning her head to suggest to Chloe. How could Chloe not understand what Celeste meant? She froze on the spot like a statue. After a long while, she finally squeezed out a sentence. Celeste, I hate you. The next day, in the morning, in the studio, Leo sat impatiently in his chair, his tone unusually tinged with a hint of anger. I said I'm not going. I have a girlfriend. Mom, don't you like Lily? What are you doing this for? Just friends? Celeste and I are not just friends. Before I was with Lily, I chased Celeste for 7 years. Is it appropriate for me to go? What do you think Lily will think? Even if I told her, it's still not okay. Yes, she would definitely understand, but she's very sensitive. Why make things unnecessarily complicated? After hanging up the phone, Leo turned on the air conditioner, pressed his temples, and sighed deeply. What a mess. At this moment, his office door was slowly pushed open. Lily walked in with his breakfast and quietly placed it on the table. Leo paused and asked softly, How much did you hear just now? Lily sat down in the seat Leo had made for her and slowly lowered her head. I heard everything. She couldn't lie, especially not to Leo. Don't be sad. You should have heard me say I wasn't going, Leo said, gently taking Lily's hand. Lily pursed her lips and fidgeted with her fingers. She would always do this when she was nervous. You should go. Leo frowned. Why are you also trying to persuade me to go? He had only just realized that his tone hadn't changed. He quickly hugged Lily beside him, afraid that he had scared her. Marcus and Sophie had been taking turns calling him since the morning, which had really made him furious. He hadn't wanted to make his relationship with Celeste clear, fearing that it would affect the two families' relationship, but he had had to say it just now. Marcus had indeed not tried to persuade him anymore after hearing it. Sophie was more emotional. She said he should at least go and see her, as he might never see her again. Lily finally looked up, her watery eyes meeting his, and said seriously, "Because I don't want you to be sad." Leo's pupils constricted. He hugged Lily even tighter. "It's okay, I'm not sad." It was true that he wasn't sad, but to say he didn't feel anything at all, probably no one would believe him. Even if another friend from childhood suddenly went abroad, he would definitely feel a little down. But there was really no need to go. It was best for them to go their separate ways. Then Uncle and Auntie will also be sad, and you might regret it in the future, Lily said in a very small voice, as if afraid of making Leo angry. What if she never comes back? This was the result of her trying to put herself in his shoes. If it were her watching Leo with another girl, she would rather never come back, because just thinking about it made her feel suffocated. To see it with her own eyes would be a form of torture, like having her heart slowly cut open, piece by piece. Leo pinched Lily's cheek, making her unable to help but close one eye. "Do you know what you're saying? You're a fool, a big fool. No one is more foolish than you." Lily was not happy. She butted him lightly with her head. "I'm very smart." "How are you smart?" Leo asked. Lily continued, "If you have regrets, this matter and that girl might stay in your heart forever. I don't want that. I want you to only have me in your eyes." She looked at their intertwined hands, a little embarrassed. "Is it a little selfish for me to think like this? I feel like I'm treating you like my own property." Leo kissed Lily's cheek hard and said with a smile, "How is that selfish? This kind of thought is very normal. I have it too. I even get worried about losing you." This naive girl's train of thought was always very strange. Leo was used to it. Anyway, this was one of her cute points. "Don't be afraid." Lily kissed him back, bringing her mouth to his ear and whispering, "I'll always be yours." Lily felt a little novel to hear that Leo was the same as her. Her eyes couldn't accommodate any other boys. Her mind was filled with Leo all day long. She was almost becoming a naive girl herself. Yes, that's right. She was originally very smart. It was Leo who had made her stupid. "Lily, you're too much of a fool," Leo said, a little embarrassed after being stunned for a long time. "If you keep this up, I might just marry you one day without your consent." "I'm not old enough. You can't marry me," Lily said, a little proud. She remembered clearly how many days she had left. Leo looked at Lily with disdain. "Then I'll just take you home without getting a certificate." Lily thought Leo was stupid for still calling her silly. She snorted lightly and said, "I can run away." As soon as these words were said, she was pulled into a tight hug by Leo. The two of them were pressed together. "Then I'll tie you up and take you back. I'll make you do the laundry and cook every day and warm my bed at night." Lily lowered her head deeply, letting Leo hug her, and said no more. "Well, then there's nothing I can do. I'm just a helpless girl. What else can I do? I'll just have to go home with him." After a while, Leo walked slowly out of the office and let out a long sigh. If she really wasn't coming back, then he would go. Then he would completely say goodbye to his past experiences, as he had promised this naive girl. He was about to leave when Jake walked over, twirling his car keys. "Where are you going, buddy?" "My meter is running." Leo glanced at him. "What are you doing here?" "I'm going to pick up Chloe. The airport is so far from here." Leo didn't say anything else. Anyway, he didn't have to drive himself. The car was driving on the overpass. For a while, no one spoke. Leo suddenly felt a wave of heat on his face. He turned his head and saw that Jake had opened the window and was flicking his cigarette ash outside. Perhaps sensing Leo's gaze, Jake suddenly said, "I don't think she'll come back." Leo didn't say much. Jake smacked his lips, seeming a little nostalgic. "She must regret it a lot. It's also a price for her actions back then. I always thought the dramas were too exaggerated when I was a child, but now I understand. We've grown up, Leo. First, to love like a child, hysterically, then to learn to accept the outcome of not getting what you want like an adult. The past is ultimately just the past." "It's good," Leo suddenly said. Jake found it strange. "What's good?" "It's good that we don't see each other anymore," Leo said, looking out the window, his expression calm. "For Lily's sake, Celeste and I should also go our separate ways completely. It's good for us to live our own lives. After we separate, she'll understand sooner or later. I don't like her or hate her now. I just hope she lives well." Jake nodded in deep agreement. "It seems you don't need me to comfort you. I didn't need it in the first place." At the airport, Chloe even came out specifically to take the two of them inside. "Have you been crying?" Jake asked, looking at Chloe's red eyes. "You can see it and you still ask?" Chloe glared at him. "Can't I be concerned about you? You're crazy." "What did you say?" "I said you're crazy." "Who are you calling crazy?" Leo listened to the two of them bickering and soon walked to the security checkpoint. There were a lot of people seeing people off, gathered in their own groups, each with their own story. His parents, and Uncle Mo, and even Chloe were there. Celeste was hugging Chloe, talking and laughing with them, looking as if nothing was wrong. But the moment she saw Leo, her smile froze. Joy and sadness appeared on her face at the same time, making her smile look a little distorted. She didn't know what to say, and then she walked towards him step by step. Everyone else tacitly didn't follow. Chloe and Jake also walked to the other side. You came to see me off? Yes. They were both silent for a while. Celeste looked at Leo fixedly and said with a bitter smile, "It would have been better if you had never met me." After she finished, she sniffled lightly, and her voice became a little choked. "But being able to meet you is really the luckiest thing in my life." Celeste felt her mind had never turned so fast before, as if she were afraid of leaving any more regrets in this life. She kept thinking about what else she should say. "I never thought that in the end, keeping my distance from you would be the only compensation I could give you." Celeste's gaze unconsciously fell on the tiles to the side. "I'm sorry, it's all my fault for being so willful." In the end, she still just wanted to say sorry. Other words were no longer appropriate to say to a boy with a girlfriend. She had to bear the consequences of her own mistakes. Leo sighed lightly and smiled at Celeste. "I didn't understand before either, and I didn't know how to love others. I just knew how to be good to you." My smile was also a little bitter. "Let's just leave it at that. We're not the only ones who have missed each other. She's a good girl. I went to see her secretly when she was working part-time. I wish you happiness." Leo nodded slightly and hummed in agreement. He didn't know if he had made a sound. He couldn't hum again. It would be too embarrassing. Celeste looked at the time, her face turning a little pale. She quickly said, "Can I ask you one last question? Can you answer me truthfully?" Leo refocused his scattered gaze on Celeste. "What?" Celeste's tears finally couldn't be held back. They fell to the ground drop by drop. To the people passing by, it finally looked like a farewell. "Do you have any regrets?" "Even a little bit," she asked in a small voice, unusually cautious. "If I didn't have any regrets, I wouldn't have chased you for 7 whole years," Leo said seriously. He didn't understand why the other person would ask such an obvious question. Celeste, who had been crying, suddenly laughed. The Leo in front of her seemed to have turned back into the boy who had always been by her side. The two figures kept overlapping, and it took her a long time to come back to her senses. "You really haven't changed, never changed. It's just that you no longer belong to me." She quickly wiped away her tears so that her vision would no longer be blurry. She silently looked at Leo for a long time, as if she wanted to carve his appearance deep into her mind. A few seconds later, she turned her head proudly. "I'm leaving. You didn't even give me a farewell gift. I won't miss you." She walked halfway, then suddenly turned around and made a silly face at Leo, just like when they were little. On the way back, Chloe looked at Leo, who was sitting in the back seat with a blank expression, her feelings complicated. "Leo, you must be the most painful person in the world right now, right? Or the happiest. After chasing for 7 years, you still missed out. But you have 2 beautiful girls who like you, one of whom even secretly wore a wedding dress for you once." Chloe couldn't figure it out. The thought of not being able to see Celeste again made her heart ache, but she didn't know who to blame. If Celeste had accepted your confession back then, what would have happened to you two now?" Chloe asked in a low voice, her voice a little weak. Leo looked at the blue sky outside the window and thought for a while. "Then we would have broken up." Chloe was stunned when she heard this. She couldn't refute it. Celeste had only started to change after she had really lost him. This was a destined ending. In the end, only those who know how to cherish can find happiness. For example, that girl. She looked at the scenery around her and suddenly felt that something was wrong. "This isn't the way back, is it?" Chloe asked Jake with a choked voice. "I'm trying to find a place for you to watch the plane take off. You silly girl." The announcement on the plane came to an abrupt end. Celeste let out a deep sigh of relief. After a short period of bumps and acceleration, the blue and white iron bird took off and soared into the blue sky. Celeste looked out the window, watching the city slowly shrink. She could vaguely make out the buildings she was familiar with. She stared blankly and wiped the window, finding that it was still blurry. Then she came back to her senses and wiped her tears with the back of her hand. "It's okay. I was deeply loved by a very, very gentle person. For 7 whole years. At least I'm the second happiest girl in the world. That's enough. I will like you for the rest of my life, I swear. I've already worn a wedding dress for you. How could I marry someone else? Goodbye, Hangzhou. Goodbye, Leo. Forget it. Let's not meet again. I won't cause you any more trouble." The moment Leo opened the office door, he saw Lily lying limply on the desk, her expression dejected. "Who made my girlfriend unhappy?" He saw Lily lying limply on the desk, her expression dejected. Hearing this, Lily immediately looked up. When she saw Leo, a layer of mist covered her eyes. She stood up, walked over to Leo, and hugged him around the waist. I was so afraid you wouldn't come back." "How could that be?" Leo said with a smile, stroking Lily's long hair. "You were acting so carefree before. Aren't you silly?" "But I just didn't want you to be sad," Lily said, her voice becoming more and more wronged. Leo also hugged Lily in his arms and gently patted her back. "My girlfriend is so good." After he finished, he felt a small wet spot on his shirt in front of him. He looked down and saw Lily sobbing silently. "Don't regret meeting me, please." It took Leo a while to understand Lily's train of thought again. This naive girl was probably afraid that he had no regrets because he was with her. He smiled at Lily. "How could I regret it? Being able to meet you. I can wake up smiling from my dreams every day." He took out a tissue and gently wiped the tears from Lily's face. "Want to go out with me?" Go out for what? Lily asked, looking up at him with her slightly red eyelids, a look that could melt anyone's heart. Leo felt that Lily had gone through several stages recently. This naive girl had almost never cried in front of him at first. Then she would cry for a long time at once. And now it was like a thunderstorm, coming and going quickly. It was amazing how it could change with the progress of their relationship. I have to go and tidy up the new apartment I rented, and then move all my things out of the dorm. He then shrugged. From now on, your boyfriend won't really be a university student anymore. Oh, okay. She was about to put on her bag when Leo stopped her. But we have to agree on this beforehand. You can only go with me. You can't do any work. I won't tidy up, Lily said timidly. Can I at least clean the room? She felt she had learned some bad things from Leo. It must have been Leo who taught her. Soon, the car stopped at the entrance of a residential complex near Yuhang University. The apartment Leo had rented was on the 4th floor, not too high or too low. It was in a somewhat old complex. It was just a place to make do. Unfortunately, none of his family's several houses were close to the university. He didn't know what his dad was thinking. Lily followed obediently behind Leo. The moment they entered, they saw the very conspicuous wooden sofa and coffee table. It looked very classic. The moment Leo entered, he sat down on the sofa, took out his phone, and looked up, thinking about what to buy. Lily, on the other hand, first checked the refrigerator and kitchen, then looked around here and there. Why do you want to live in a 2-bedroom apartment by yourself? Lily asked with a not-so-smart voice. It's mainly for the space. When I'm in a bad mood, I can even change rooms to sleep. Okay. Lily didn't think much of it, and replied in a daze. Leo looked at Lily with a wicked smile. I will definitely change to another room to sleep, but at that time, you might be sleeping there. Do you want to come here for a nap at noon in the future? No. You'll bully me. I won't. Leo felt that his image in Lily's eyes must be problematic. I'm not that kind of person, okay? Then can you at least come and help me cook? He decided to continue to slowly cook her. Lily immediately agreed. Okay. Leo was speechless. He was completely at a loss for words. This naive girl was so pure that it made him feel a little guilty. After the novelty had worn off a little for both of them, they went out to buy things. Leo picked out 2 sets of bedsheets and thin quilts. Lily bought a bunch of vegetables and rice. Most of the daily necessities were picked out by Lily. Leo couldn't remember them at all. Leo was amazed at the sight of the big and small bags of things. What was this sudden feeling of living together? It seemed quite happy. Are you hungry? I'll cook for you, Lily said, tying her hair with a hair tie dangling from her mouth. It's a good time to try out these things. Leo, who was lying lazily on the bed, couldn't help but swallow when he saw this scene. He clapped his hands and said to Lily, Come here and let me hug you first. Lily, who had just tied her hair into a ponytail, leaned timidly against the door, not daring to enter. Don't we hug often? Leo asked curiously. Lily was a little fidgety. Lying down and hugging just feels a little. And with a man and a woman alone in a room. Although it seemed they had been alone in a room before. Don't you trust your boyfriend? I can be a gentleman, Leo said righteously. If you bully me, I'll bite you. Lily issued a warning that had no deterrent effect at all. Not only did it have no deterrent effect, but it also made Leo even more excited. Lily said it, and then moved to the side of the bed step by step, sitting down nervously. Her long ponytail dangled on her slender waist, making Leo feel a little dazed. Are you nervous? Leo asked softly. He was afraid of making Lily so scared that she would start to breathe heavily like before. Lily took a deep breath. I'm okay. Oh. She regretted it as soon as she said it. Leo immediately wrapped his arm around her waist and pulled her whole body over. How can this person be so polite one moment and so forceful the next? Lily was lying on her side on the bed, not daring to open her eyes to look at him, letting Leo's breath hit her cheek. She also felt that she might have been an ostrich in her past life. But after who knows how long, Leo didn't do anything. Now that she was keeping her eyes closed, she felt even more insecure. Did he fall asleep? Or has he been looking at me this whole time? So embarrassing. What are you doing? After a long while, Lily finally couldn't help but open her eyes. She turned around and saw that Leo was indeed looking at her, not knowing what he was thinking. It would have been fine if she hadn't turned around. The moment she turned around, the two of them were completely face to face. Only then did Lily realize how close they had been just now. Leo smiled at her faintly. His light, not so heavy breath would from time to time hit her face, making Lily's heart feel tingly. Looking at Leo's face and the corners of his slightly raised lips, Lily was possessed by a ghost and leaned over, giving him a light peck. Because the distance was so close, she didn't have time to regret it in the middle. Her reason was running desperately behind her, but couldn't catch up to stop her. Then Leo's smile froze. Lily, who had come back to her senses, was also stunned. Lily, you're a pervert. What have you done? A few seconds later, she was about to run off the bed when she was pulled back by Leo. I didn't mean to. Lily looked up at Leo and explained stammeringly. Both of her wrists were held by Leo, and she couldn't move at all. Lily's face turned away as she struggled gently, making Leo's reason completely collapse. The next moment, the sound of her explanation turned into a whimper. Lily's resistance became smaller and smaller, Her legs, which had been struggling, completely lost their strength. Her hands, which had been held by Leo, had unknowingly become intertwined with his. Both of their movements were a little clumsy, but clumsiness had its advantages. The changes that were constantly discovered in the process were clearly felt by both of them. Lily clumsily responded to his desire, gradually becoming lost in the moment. Now I taste like lychee. Now I taste like Coke. After who knows how long, Lily slowly pushed Leo away and looked at him with her eyes full of emotion, asking weakly, "You haven't said it yet. What flavor do you like?" Lily's hair was a mess, her small mouth slightly open, breathing heavily. Leo was also panting heavily, looking at Lily with affection. "I like you." As soon as these words were said, Lily wrapped her arms around his neck, pressed her lips against his, and continued to close her eyes. The two of them kissed, and gradually forgot about time again. In the evening, Leo quietly looked at the student dormitory he had just cleaned. His nose kept tingling. The sunlight shone through the window onto the clean and slightly damp floor tiles, making the few drops of water glisten. He had seen this scene before, 3 years ago, when he had just pushed the door open. Everything was so similar, except that 3 years ago, he had come here full of anticipation, and now he was leaving with reluctance. From the empty dormitory, he seemed to suddenly see Jake drinking and complaining to Ryan, telling the story of how his father had forced him to change his major. At that time, Jake was still very wild, numbing himself every day. He seemed to see Harry sitting behind him, watching him play games, and from time to time looking down at his book. At that time, this guy would always mention his regret of not going to the same university as his crush. For some reason, all those daily routines that he had almost forgotten suddenly appeared clearly in his mind at this moment, like hallucinations. Leo suddenly smiled. "I'm really your good father." After a long while, the door was slowly closed by him. The dormitory was as clean as new, as if no one had ever been there. Chapter 120. The next morning, while Lily was still brushing her teeth, she suddenly heard the door open. Then came the familiar voice she missed. "Hello, Auntie. Leo's here." She froze on the spot, not even noticing that the water mixed with toothpaste was trickling down the corner of her mouth. She had just managed to temporarily put what had happened yesterday to the back of her mind, and now it all came flooding back. After washing her hot face with cold water, she slowly walked out. She didn't dare to look Leo in the eye. Not only that, she didn't even dare to look at Sarah. She was afraid that they would be able to tell what had happened between her and Leo. It was also strange. When they had just started dating, she was always more nervous than usual when she saw Leo. Now that they had kissed, it was even more different. She wished she could just dig a hole and bury herself, but she couldn't help but look at Leo's lips. Yesterday she was so irrational. Today she just wants to die. Leo didn't seem to care at all. He would from time to time smile at her while chatting with Sarah. The girl was wearing her homey pajamas and shorts, rubbing her sleepy eyes. She looked so cute and dazed. Lily would only dare to wear clothes that showed a little bit of her thigh at home. And it has to be said, this naive girl's legs were really good. They were thin where they should be thin, and had meat where they should have meat. Everything was just right. Lily naturally noticed that Leo was looking at her, and her cheeks, which had just cooled down a little, became hot again, making her feel restless. She couldn't possibly go and change her clothes now, could she? It would be too awkward. She could only press her legs together and quietly move to the side. "Leo, please stop looking, stop looking. Please go away. Can't I just go out with you? Mom, why are you still smiling at me? So embarrassing." And then, Leo suddenly smiled and said to Sarah, "Auntie, is there anything to eat?" "Of course, how could Annie not feed you?" "Leo, you're shameless." Early morning sunlight shone into the small alley. From time to time, you could hear the crisp chirping of birds. Even though it was already July, it was still cool at this time. The two of them were walking side by side in the small alley. Leo was in high spirits, his steps light. After all, he and Lily were not just a couple anymore. That's not quite right. Although they were still a couple, they were a less pure couple. Not only had they kissed and tasted each other's tongues, but Lily had even eaten fruit candy and drank Coke for him. Thinking about it now, he felt that he had played too much after his reason had gone offline yesterday. And kissing is really addictive. They actually kissed for more than 2 hours yesterday. Just as Leo was walking along with a smug look on his face, his lower back was suddenly hit hard, making him stumble a few steps, almost losing his balance. Needless to say, it must have been his girlfriend who was born in the year of the ox. "Lily," he shouted, pretending to be angry. Lily drooped her head with a wronged expression and mumbled in a small voice with no confidence. Who bullied me? My lips were swollen yesterday. I don't know if my mom noticed." Leo smiled and looked at her. "You were the one who started it, and you're still acting wronged?" The girl was too shy to speak again. She knew that Leo's "you started it" was referring to her butting him with her head. But she was also the one who had started the trouble yesterday, which made her unable to morally condemn Leo's forceful actions now. So embarrassing. Leo leaned in close to her and touched her lips with his hand. "Why do I feel like it's still a little swollen? Is it my imagination?" Lily pouted and looked at him with both a fierce and wronged expression, which made people want to bully her even more. You were the one who actively kissed me a few times in the middle, Leo said, feeling very guilty. He quickly tried to shift the blame. Don't say it. Don't say it. The girl was so anxious. Too bad. I'm going to butt him with my head. JPG. Leo saw that Lily was about to butt him again and quickly shut up. This naive girl was soft everywhere except for her head, which was as hard as a rock. A hard but really hurts. Leo took the girl's hand and squeezed it with a smile. That special feeling became even stronger. Although the two of them were already a couple, after taking each other's first kiss, they had a feeling that the other person really belonged to them. Sure enough, love and desire are inseparable. Anyway, he didn't believe in any platonic love. Leo felt that if Lily had asked him before he had made a move on her whether he liked her or was just lusting after her body, he really wouldn't have known how to answer. It was true that he liked her, and it was also true that he was lusting after her body. To admit it would be wrong, and to deny it would also be wrong. It was a dead end. Fortunately, this naive girl would never think of such a question. Thinking of this, Leo asked the girl again. I stole your first kiss, you know? Don't you feel anything? I don't feel anything, Lily said truthfully. She felt that she was going to be eaten clean by him sooner or later. Besides feeling embarrassed, she really didn't have any regrets. Anyway, it was all Leo's. It didn't benefit anyone else. What else could she feel? Does she have to tell him that she was actually very happy at that time? No way. Mia said that a girl must be reserved. Even when she wants to be hugged, she has to say no to refuse. It's just that for some reason, after she said it yesterday, Leo became even more energetic. Where did she get all that experience from? Lily was starting to doubt the professionalism of her theoretical mentor. It had caused her a lot of suffering yesterday. Next time you kiss me, can you keep your hands to yourself? Lily looked up at Leo, her cheeks puffed out unconsciously. Leo didn't know how to explain for a moment. Do you believe me if I say it's a boy's instinct? All boys are like this, they can't help it. This naive girl was sometimes very smart. For example, yesterday, she had been holding hands with him most of the time, which made it impossible for him to get his hands on her. Seeing that Lily didn't seem to believe him, he quickly said again, if you don't believe me, I'll call Jake right now and ask him. I believe you. I believe you. Lily quickly pulled him back. I believe you. You just have to keep your hands to yourself in the future. How can you do that? Is this a question you can ask someone else? And if you make a phone call, the whole world will know that they kissed. Leo tried his best to hold back his laughter and put his phone back in his pocket. Of course, he wasn't really going to ask. He secretly praised Jake for being such a good wingman. Good for nothing, son. You're really my top wingman. When they reached the entrance of the alley, Lily asked in a small voice, where are we going? When they reached the entrance of the alley, Lily asked in a small voice, where are we going? To find a place to eat you clean, Leo said casually. A sudden flash of inspiration hit the girl. She stepped forward and linked her arm through Leo's tightly. A sudden flash of inspiration hit the girl. She stepped forward and linked her arm through Leo's tightly. Let's go play somewhere with a lot of people, she said, shaking him gently, and from time to time rubbing against him as Mia had taught her. Please, please. Leo paused for a long time without answering, then suddenly turned around and smiled at her. Okay. Just as Lily was about to smile smugly and let out a sigh of relief, Leo suddenly lifted her chin with his finger and slowly lowered his head. MMPH. I'll never be clever again. Chapter 121. After a long while, the distance between the two of them finally separated. Lily lowered her head, wiped the corner of her mouth with the back of her hand, and secretly glanced at the direction of her home, feeling more and more guilty. How far is this from home? Isn't this like committing a crime right under the Emperor's nose? This Leo is too pushy. I have to be smarter in the future. I can't be tricked by him anymore. The girl kept thinking to herself. Otherwise, wouldn't it be? Before we even get married. She made up her mind. Although her heart and her whole being belonged to Leo, she must stick to her bottom line. Kissing and hugging. She would let Leo do as he pleased, but everything else had to wait until after they were married. At the earliest, they had to get a marriage certificate. Maybe an engagement. What if she was tricked by Leo into getting engaged before she even got a marriage certificate? No earlier. I can't be too easy. You're so bad, Lily said, panting for breath. She snorted lightly. She had originally planned to go to a crowded place to play so that Leo wouldn't have a chance to make a move. She hadn't expected Leo to agree, but then he chose to mess with her before they even left. In the end, it was a case of the devil being 1 foot taller than the Tao. You're praising me. I'm getting embarrassed. Leo shrugged and smiled at her. Lily stared at him in a daze, her mouth slightly open. She felt that her boyfriend's skin was getting thicker and thicker, but this time, Leo was much more well-behaved. His 2 hands really didn't move at all. It was just kissing. For a moment, she didn't even know whether to be happy or not. Anyway, she couldn't praise him, otherwise this person would definitely push his luck again. You're a pervert. Lily was so angry at herself. She couldn't be fierce no matter how she tried, and she had to avoid looking Leo in the eye. Otherwise, she would break character immediately. She suddenly glanced at the bulge on Leo's body and quickly looked away. It must be quite hard to carry a TV remote control with you when you go out. Leo sighed helplessly. I told you not to praise me. Why do you keep praising me? It's embarrassing. Do you like me that much? Don't move, the girl suddenly said. Leo stood there motionless as expected and asked curiously, what's wrong? I saw Lily looking around like a thief. Then she gently lifted his t-shirt a little, revealing his thin abs. Lily looked at it with great curiosity. When she had gone to Leo's house to sleep before, she couldn't just look whenever she wanted like she could now. She wasn't his girlfriend back then. The corners of the girl's lips curved up unconsciously. She didn't know how moving her smile was in Leo's eyes at this moment. Can I touch it? She asked in a small voice. I'm not stopping you. Lily pursed her lips and nodded, then reached out and stroked it lightly. Now we're both perverts, Leo said with a smile. You're the pervert. I'm not, Lily said seriously, poking it playfully. I'm just getting my revenge. Let's make a deal. You kissed me just now, and now I'm touching your abs. We're even. You can't say anything about wanting to touch my stomach later. Leo frowned. This logic sounds so familiar. Did she learn it from me? No, that's not right. I learned it from her. The pure and kind me must have been corrupted by this naive girl. He nodded silently in his heart, clearing his name, and at the same time realizing that this naive frog had become smarter. From time to time, she even knew to throw out some of the firewood from the bottom of the pot. In the future, the great cause of adding firewood must be pursued with greater effort. He only knew how to boil a frog. If he could still let the frog notice and jump out, how could he continue to make a living in this business? The male protagonists in those web novels aren't this embarrassing, are they? When Lily's palm came up, the calluses on her hand became even more obvious. Leo could feel them clearly. The smile that had been on his face slowly disappeared, replaced by a serious and heavy gaze. But before the girl could notice, he smiled again. After a while, Lily cleared her throat and slowly pulled Leo's clothes down. Leo was inexplicably a little disappointed. He asked, recalling the feeling just now, are you done? After a while, Lily cleared her throat and slowly pulled Leo's clothes down. Then let me touch your stomach. Lily was so scared she quickly took 2 steps back. We agreed on it just now. Leo nodded slightly. Yes, we agreed. So I'm not getting revenge. It's that you let me touch your stomach first, and then I'll let you touch mine. Taking advantage of the girl's daze, he simply grabbed her wrist and placed her hand on his stomach again. Lily looked at this scene, her eyes blinking. She felt her head was about to burn. How can this person be so sinister and shameless? When will she ever win? The girl ran away in despair, her long hair swinging nimbly with her steps, a beautiful sight. But halfway through, she realized that Leo hadn't chased her. Like a silly deer, she stopped and looked back. The silly deer is a creature that lives in the northeast region of China. Its reactions are often half a beat slow. Although it runs very fast when chased, if you stop chasing it halfway, it will curiously come back to see you. When there's nowhere to hide, it will bury its head, thinking that you can't see it then. As an animal, it's the epitome of cute and stupid. Of course, the human epitome of cute and stupid is Lily. In Leo's eyes, it was as easy as pie to knock her out with a stick and take her home. Sure enough, while Leo was standing there as if thinking about something, Lily came back step by step. What are you doing? What's wrong? She asked softly. Sure enough, while Leo was standing there as if thinking about something, Lily came back step by step. What are you doing? What's wrong? She asked softly. Leo slowly looked up and smiled at her. I'm waiting for you to take the bait. You, Lily shouted in fear and continued to run. Unfortunately, the distance between the two of them was too close this time. And Leo wasn't like just now, when he was thinking about something and didn't react. In a few steps, he caught up to her and hugged her tightly from behind. The girl was giggling from being teased. After struggling a few times and failing to get away, she simply gave up struggling. The girl was giggling from being teased. After struggling a few times and failing to get away, she simply gave up struggling. Don't mess around, Lily said, begging for mercy. Because they had run out of the alley, a few scattered passers-by unconsciously looked over here, and then it was as if a lemon had exploded in their minds. Because they had run out of the alley, a few scattered passers-by unconsciously looked over here, and then it was as if a lemon had exploded in their minds. There are people, she continued in a small voice, rubbing her cheek against Leo's arm, using all her cute and coquettish tricks. She had never known how to do these things before. After all, she had never had anyone to be coquettish with since she was a child. But after being with Leo, she slowly learned without being taught, and even became more and more proficient. After a while, Leo was scrolling through his phone and asked softly, "Where do you want to go? I said before that I would take you to the aquarium or the amusement park. It feels a little strange to just be playing all the time." Lily lowered her head and fidgeted with her fingers, feeling inexplicably awkward. There was a lingering sense of guilt, like a dark cloud hanging over her. It was as if she had a built-in fire extinguisher. Whenever she was happy, she would suddenly think of her family's affairs, of how she had to hurry up and make money, of the pressure on her that was like a mountain. Leo smiled and pinched her cheek, sighing helplessly. "Lily, you're only 19. I swear I'll make you happy for the rest of your life. You won't be able to be unhappy even if you want to," Leo said, standing in the direction of the sunlight, reaching out his right hand to her. a faint smile on his face, his gaze gentle. You just have to be happy. Leave everything else to me. Under the rising sun, a large hand and a small hand slowly clasped each other, their fingers intertwined. Lily gently linked her arm through Leo's and said seriously, "But I'm very happy just being with you. How can I be any happier?" She really couldn't imagine a better life. After all, she knew best how she had managed to get through it before, the grievances and pain involved. If there really were happier days than now, maybe it would be in the future. Every day with Leo in the future. Girls always love to fantasize, especially when they have someone they like. After they got together, she would often secretly fantasize about her life with Leo after they got married. If Leo was willing, she would go out with him every day to buy groceries, and then she would willfully ask him to help her carry things, while she just linked her arm through his. In the morning, the two of them would wake up together, and she could even hug Leo and laze in bed. When her mother was cured, she would spend money to buy a lot of new dresses, dress herself up beautifully, and only wear them when she was on her period to tease him. He deserves it for being a pervert every day. If they had a baby in the future, that would be even better. She just didn't know if Leo liked children. He spoils his sisters so much, he should like them, right? Thinking about it, she hugged Leo's arm a little tighter. Leo was both happy and speechless. He poked the girl on the head with force. "You're too easy to satisfy." Lily had no intention of refuting him. She closed her eyes and rested her head on Leo's shoulder, her eyes curved. Her whole body leaned on him. She liked this feeling very much, because Leo would definitely support her well. It's okay if Leo says I have no ambition. She just likes this feeling. I feel like I'm being turned into a salted fish by Leo. I've decided to make you learn to experience life, just like you learned to laugh before, Leo suddenly said. This is the next lesson you have to complete, Miss Liang. The first time you went to the movies with me, was it your first time? He asked again. Yes. For a long time to come, I'm going to take you to see all sorts of things you've never experienced before, Leo said very seriously. As for whether it was embarrassing to say this, he no longer cared. He would just forget it after he said it. This naive girl had never lived like a normal girl. She had never shopped for clothes for the sake of her own preferences, had never experienced the feeling of makeup at the most curious age, and would never hang out with a group of friends chatting or traveling. Her world was too small. She had even only been to the movies for the first time recently. Although some experiences can't be had again after that age has passed, even if it's a little late, he still has to make up for them all. Lily looked at Leo with her head tilted to the side, blinking her eyes in a daze. How long will it take? She felt that Leo was going to trick her again with its part of the plan, like he did when they first met. Then I'll just pretend to fall for your trick. Who said I'm smarter than you? The girl thought to herself. And then she saw Leo look up and think for a while, his expression serious. A lifetime. After a long while, Leo and Lily discovered a very, very serious problem. They were both indecisive. Leo felt that it didn't matter where he went. He would just listen to Lily. Coincidentally, Lily thought the same thing. The two of them were stuck in a strange loop of where do you want to go? It's up to you. I'm fine with anything. I'm fine with anything too. You decide. The root cause was that in their eyes, it really didn't matter where they went, as long as they were together. A few minutes later, Leo couldn't take it anymore and simply said, "Let's just roll a dice." He was about to open WeChat and send that dice-rolling emoji when he saw that Chloe had posted a new moment. Don't ask why he could see the moments when he was just trying to send a message. Just assume that either the little red dots or he had to die. In the photo, Mia was cosplaying Shinobu Kocho. From the looks of the people in various costumes around them, the two of them should be at a Comic-Con now. Let's go and catch them, Leo suddenly said with a smile. Hangzhou couldn't possibly have two Comic-Cons at the same time. A quick search would tell them where they were. Lily heard the navigation report that it was an hour's drive away. She had originally wanted to go and see, but she suddenly became a little hesitant. Isn't it going to take too much time? Don't ask about the meaning, just be happy. Don't you want to see Mia's shocked expression when you surprise her? If you don't live for fun, what else is there to live for? I do, Lily said honestly. She also thought it would be fun to suddenly run over and scare Mia. Leo nodded. Then it's worth me driving for over an hour. Let's go. The moment the two of them walked into the venue, they saw people in all sorts of strange clothes walking around, talking and laughing. This was definitely the place with the most social butterflies. If you randomly pulled someone to take a picture with, they would most likely be happy to cooperate. But this was Leo's first time at a Comic-Con, and it felt quite new. Lily was a little nervous seeing the sea of people around them. She held Leo's hand tightly. I can't find Mia. Should I send her a message and ask? Leo frowned. Are you stupid? If you send her a message, won't she know you're here? I can ask her to send me a picture. It's better than looking for her like this, the girl said in a small voice, but she didn't get a response for a long time. She turned her head and saw that Leo was making an exaggerated expression, his eyes wide as he looked at her. You've gotten smarter. Don't bump into me, it hurts. While waiting for Mia's message, Leo was like an old man, holding his waist and Lily's hand, wandering around. Seeing someone cosplaying Kamen Rider, Leo happily ran over to take a picture with them. Lily smiled and took 2 pictures for him. She thought Leo was so cute when he was being childish. After taking the pictures, she put this one into the album she had created specifically for Leo. After all, it hadn't been very long. Leo's appearance in these photos hadn't changed at all, but his identity was completely different from the beginning. Before, they were friends. Later, they were less than pure friends. Now, they were a couple. Don't be so silly. Is Kamen Rider that handsome? Leo said with a smile. It's my boyfriend who's handsome. Lily snorted with dissatisfaction. Her gaze had been on Leo from beginning to end. If you're going to praise me more. Now it was Leo's turn to be silly. Who knows if it's because there are very few couples who come to Comic-Cons together, but along the way, Leo always felt that he was being stared at by countless, extremely cold gazes. It was as if they wanted to swallow him alive. So this is what it feels like to be a normie, Leo said to himself in his heart. It's actually pretty cool. As the two of them were walking, they suddenly saw a girl in a cosplay costume walking towards them with her boyfriend's arm linked through hers. Do you like this? Lily asked softly. She felt that Leo had always liked this kind of thing, but he was just too shy to mention it. After all, he had tried to trick her into wearing traditional clothing before. I wasn't looking, Leo said immediately, afraid that this naive girl was fishing. I know you weren't looking. Aren't you afraid to wear this kind of clothes out? Leo said with a smile, looking at her. He knew that this naive girl didn't even dare to show her calves outside. Of course I'm afraid, the girl said, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Why do you say that if you're afraid? Leo found it strange. This naive girl's train of thought was always different from others. Lily continued to link her arm through his and said seriously to him, because I like you more than you think. Her decisive refusal to let Leo kiss her in public left him with no choice but to give up. I'll hold you down hard sooner or later, and then kiss you until you faint, he thought to himself. After a long while, Lily's fishing plan was very successful. After receiving the photo, they quickly found Mia, who was standing in front of a booth, laughing so hard she was bent over. In front of her were two chairs. One boy was cosplaying Aaron, and the other was cosplaying Reiner. They were sitting there, looking at each other. These two guys had even brought a speaker. It made Leo laugh too. Lily put her index finger to her lips, signaling him to be quiet first. Then she quietly walked up and poked Mia on the waist with her finger. Mia was startled as expected. When she turned her head and saw the two of them, her mouth opened even wider. She rubbed her eyes several times before she believed that she wasn't mistaken. Why are you two here? To see you, Lily said in a small voice. Taking advantage of the two of them chatting, Leo continued to scan the surrounding crowd and suddenly found that he could recognize quite a few characters. Mia looked at the two of them with suspicion. You're not here to feed me dog food, are you? This is too much. It's one thing to be forced to eat dog food at ordinary times, but now she has run so far, and she still has to be chased and fed? It's simply, forget it, I won't curse. It's so hot in the summer, you're really bundled up, Leo suddenly said. I'm here to have fun, not for others to look at. Although Leo's words had no other meaning, Mia, as an old pro, couldn't help but misinterpret them. Mia said it, and then leaned in close, whispering to the two of them. Those who wear revealing clothes don't necessarily really like anime. They just like the feeling of being surrounded and watched. They might not even know which anime their cosplay character is from. So you're here because you love it? Yes, it's quite accurate, right? Mia handed the sword in her hand to Lily and spun around happily. It's all right, Leo nodded. I approve of your dedication. After he finished, he looked around here and there and continued to ask, where's Chloe? She came with me for a bit and then went back to sleep, Mia said with a big yawn, looking a little tired. Lily walked up and looked carefully at the other person's dark circles, her face full of worry. Did you not sleep well last night? Don't mention it. I told Chloe last night that we would go to sleep after one win, and then everything went wrong after I said that, Mia said, holding up 4 fingers. We didn't win the first game until 4 in the morning. Lily tilted her head and suddenly felt that her worry was a little unnecessary. Lily, look, I told you before and you didn't believe me. It's so much fun to come out and play, Mia said with a smile. Finally, someone had pulled this naive girl out of her self-enclosed little room. It has to be said that Leo was indeed more capable than her. It might also be that this is how love changes people. There are always some things that friendship can't do. After Mia went back to catch up on sleep, Leo and Lily continued to wander around the Comic-Con for a long time. This naive girl would from time to time look around, her novelty inexhaustible. Leo looked at the various people in cosplay costumes who had set up small food stalls for fun. Seeing the crowded scene, he suddenly had an idea and said to the girl, I'm going to make a call. The prompt tone only rang twice before it was answered. Hello, Ethan, what are you doing? Working overtime, Ethan said with a bored tone. The art team had even finished their work and were slacking off these past few days, but their programming team was still busy with various bugs. Now, every time he saw an error message, he had the urge to jump off a building. What kind of boss is so ruthless? Leo reprimanded him severely. Leo didn't continue to joke. Bring the 2 extra phones from the studio to me. I want to hold a demo event. The anime concentration here is very high. Those people with cameras might even be big or small YouTubers. They're all free promotion. It would be a pity not to take advantage of the hype. Just as it was noon, Ethan arrived by taxi. Not only did he bring several phones, but he also brought a banner as Leo had requested. "Leo, I'm here," Ethan said, panting heavily. Then he noticed Lily standing beside Leo, and then he shouted out in public, "Hello, sister-in-law." His voice was so loud that everyone around them couldn't help but look over. Lily first nodded in a daze, and a few seconds later, she finally reacted. Her cheeks, which were already flushed from the heat, suddenly became scarlet. "Don't call me that." "Leo, are they going to let us do this here?" Ethan asked curiously, wiping the sweat from his face with his hand. Leo nodded slightly. "I just asked the person in charge. It's fine. It's just that because we didn't apply in advance, there's no dedicated space for us." Ethan waved his hand dismissively. "I don't think we need that." After he finished, he directly stuck the banner to the wall in front of him. On it was written in bold, "A game that will change the domestic game market. The rising star of the game industry. Free demo of a domestic card roguelike game." Leo's eyebrows jumped as he watched. He had only told Ethan to bring a promotional banner, but he hadn't expected him to pull this stunt. It suddenly made him and Lily too embarrassed to stand here. But the herd effect was remarkable. At first, only a few interested people came, but later, a long line had formed. These were not Leo's targets. It was only when he saw many people who were filming videos also coming over that he secretly smiled. "This is your content, and you are my free advertisement. It's a win-win." In the evening, after the two of them had sent Ethan off in a taxi, Lily wiped the sweat from Leo's cheek with a tissue and asked softly, "Was today a small success? Did you have fun?" "I did," Lily replied seriously. Whether it was wandering around with Leo in the morning or watching him scam and trick people into promoting the game in the afternoon, she had a lot of fun. Leo smiled at her. "Then that's it. We'll go to other places next time. The days are still long." The girl nodded gently and snuggled closer to Leo. "Are you touched?" he asked again. "You want to kiss me?" Lily snorted, pursing her lips and showing a look of seeing through everything. She also felt that she had become a little smarter after being tricked so many times. At this rate, won't the day of her being able to handle Leo be just around the corner? She also wanted to bully Leo. Leo smiled wickedly. "You have the guts to not get in the car later." Lily was suddenly stunned. It was only now that she understood why Leo had specifically sent Ethan off in a taxi. Will calling the police be useful? Urgent, waiting online. Chapter 124. Time flew by to August. Thanks to the high enthusiasm of many team members, the game went live much earlier than Leo had anticipated. By August 6th, the company's profit pool already held tens of thousands. Although small games on this kind of platform didn't require a license, 70% of the revenue went to the platform, leaving the game studio with only 30%. This was less than 2 weeks after the game's launch, with promotions barely even started. For a newly established studio, this result was more than just respectable. The next step was to see the growth rate, which would determine the difference between earning a lot or a little. "Aren't you treating us to dinner?" Mia was the first to stir things up in the studio. "I'm still craving that lobster bigger than my head." Just as Leo was about to speak, he heard Jake suddenly shout, "Tomorrow. We're going out for a good meal tomorrow. Today, everyone take the day off and rest. You've all worked hard lately." After everyone had left cheerfully, Jake slowly sat down in front of Leo. Seeing this, Leo's expression immediately became serious. When this kind of silence fell between guys, it usually meant the matter wasn't small. "Chloe told me she saw Lily crying when she went to the hospital with a friend," Jake said, getting straight to the point. Leo's pupils contracted. He quickly asked, "When?" "Yesterday." Jake seemed to be struggling with how to put it. "Tell me straight, is Lily's mother disabled in some way?" "Yes," Leo said. He saw no need to hide it, his attention still fixed on what Jake had just told him. There was only one possibility. Sarah's condition was not optimistic. Otherwise, this naive girl wouldn't have kept it from him. He'd have to punish her soundly for this sooner or later, but not now. Leo shot up from his seat, his face expressionless as he said in a low, heavy voice, "I get it. Thanks." With that, he turned and left without looking back. Half an hour later, he sat in his car, his gaze fixed on the balance on his bank card. The pale white light from the screen reflected in his unblinking eyes, making his expression seem even more solemn. The profits, added to what Leo already had on hand, meant he now had over 100,000 he could use. It wouldn't affect the company's operations anyway. At its current small scale, even if the company ran a little short on cash later, he could cover it. With a long sigh, the car door slowly opened. There was nothing to hesitate about. This had been his goal from the very beginning. He walked slowly through the small alley, his expression much calmer. Lily was still at her part-time job, so he only needed to convince Sarah. Sure enough, when Sarah saw him arrive, her expression was first one of shock, but a genuine smile immediately appeared on her wrinkled face. "Leo, what brings you here?" she asked, a little curious. After all, her own little cabbage was still at work. Could he be here to wait for her in advance? Leo sat down beside Sarah and got straight to the point. Auntie, did you go for a checkup at the hospital yesterday? Sarah was stunned. Did Lily tell you? Leo shook his head and casually picked up a stool, sitting down next to her. I have a friend who works at the hospital. She said she saw Lily. He deliberately made it sound ambiguous, hoping Sarah would think his friend was an intern or employee there. That way, she might think he could find out anyway, and the probability of her telling the truth would be higher. Before Sarah could speak, he continued. I heard the situation isn't very optimistic. You can't jinx me, you know. Sarah forced a smile, her gaze constantly darting to a drawer on the side. Leo's expression became heavy, and he found it hard to understand. He said helplessly, Auntie, is there anything you can't tell me directly? I came here alone, just for this. After a long while, Sarah seemed to have figured out why Leo had come alone. Seeing that she could no longer hide it, she could only let out a deep sigh. The doctor said the surgery must be arranged by the end of the month at the latest. If we don't treat it, once the nerves are completely dead, there will be no hope of recovery. It's already been delayed for too long. As she spoke, the wrinkles at the corners of her eyes folded together again, and she revealed a smile of relief, laughing lightly. But it should be fine. Don't look at my body as if it's not good. Actually, I'm quite resilient. Other people in my situation, their nerves would have been completely dead long ago. So, Annie should be able to hold on for a long time. Leo didn't respond. Instead, he got up and started rummaging through things. He didn't know if it was out of instinct or paranoia, but he just kept searching. Sarah's gaze kept darting to the drawer, which made him feel very strange. Finally, in the drawer where Lily's childhood photos were kept, he found a bottle containing an amber-colored liquid. It had a more well-known name, pesticide. The room was silent for a long time, frighteningly quiet. Leo put the thing aside and said with a smile, as if nothing had happened, Auntie, if the doctor says we need surgery, let's just do the surgery. Why drag it out when we have the money to treat it? He couldn't be bothered to think about how the person who sold this could have sold it to someone in a wheelchair with a clear conscience, so he simply didn't. Sarah's mouth opened and closed. She swallowed the words, we don't have money, that came out of instinct and finally said in a low voice, I'm not worth it. She had never seen so much money in her life. In her mind, this money was enough for her daughter and Leo to live a good life, eat a lot of good food, and buy many beautiful clothes. They could also go to many places and have a better life. There was simply no need to spend it on a useless person like her. Of course you're worth it, Leo said, placing his bank card on the table. You know I started a company before. I have money, and I'll earn more in the future. He then pointed to the pesticide on the side. If you're gone, no matter how much money I earn in the future, I can't earn Lily another mother. Why, Leo? Sarah wasn't bothered by Leo's slightly harsh tone. She just found it strange. She couldn't understand why Leo would spend so much money to help her. Her life or death wouldn't affect his relationship with Lily. Most importantly, although she liked Leo very much, and he was always polite and filial to her, it was definitely not to the extent that it was worth him spending over $100,000 on her. Leo didn't say any empty words like, after I marry Lily, you'll be my mother too. Instead, he said from the bottom of his heart, because I want to make Lily happy. It was that simple. But this one reason was enough. It might sound a little harsh, but Lily had indeed been imprisoned by this shackle for too long. She's already fragile enough. Leo's tone softened, and his voice became lighter. You can't torture her anymore by doing what you think is best for her. Being healthy and by her side is what's best for her. Seeing that Sarah hadn't spoken for a long time, he sighed deeply again. Auntie, I'll be direct. I had originally planned to just find a random job and coast through life after graduation. I started my own business to have the ability to pay for your treatment, to make Lily happy, and to give her a better life. My parents have money, and they're kind-hearted, but I can't spend their money just to make my girlfriend happy. It's different now. I earned it myself. The room was silent again for who knows how long. Sarah finally nodded almost imperceptibly. Annie understands. I'll listen to you. Leo finally felt a little relieved. The corners of his lips curled up, and he said softly, but that's not enough. Sarah was stunned. Why is it not enough whether I agree or not? You have to cooperate with me. I don't want her to know. Why? Sarah found it even stranger. You know what kind of personality Lily has. Leo lowered his head and paused for a moment, then looked at Sarah with a solemn expression. She already listens to everything I say. If she finds out I did her such a big favor, she won't be able to live for herself for even a second for the rest of her life.